Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Blake.
How
How
are
are
you?
you? I'm good. How are you?
What have we got for headlines this morning?
So,
You had kind of a crazy show yesterday.
yeah, that's an understatement, probably. But here we are, moving on and still talking about lots of interesting things. So yesterday, another man, this story just keeps giving. This is a story that just keeps giving. Another man was arrested. Well, not just another man, several men were arrested who have illegally landed in the Cayman Islands. So remember the first guy in
Mhm.
the Jamaican gang who's now back in Jamaica, Rudolph Shaw, and he's been charged with at least one murder there. So the RCIPS arrested another man who's also wanted for murder in Jamaica yesterday. His name is Neville Peter Butler, age 27. He was arrested along with three other Jamaican nationals, two of whom are also suspected of arriving here in the Cayman Islands illegally. The other man, age 34, is a work permit holder and is also a Jamaican national. So reports are that on Saturday, the RCIPS had cause to stop a vehicle. They conducted a proactive search in the vicinity of Batabanu Road in West Bay. And of course, the vehicle contained a package. Well, they saw them throw, I should say, a package of ganja, suspected ganja, out of the vehicle. And all four occupants were arrested on suspicion of possession. And as they started processing them, they discovered that they were also illegal landers. And then once Jamaica was notified, ta-da, you also caught a murderer.
Oh, wow.
Dun, dun, dun. I know. So kind of crazy. Yesterday morning, I think we mentioned this on our program as we went live. There was a fatality in the vicinity of, right there off of Eastern Avenue. And unfortunately, the police have confirmed that indeed a 20-year-old woman was killed in that incident, and others also were injured. So really, really sad situation. We don't have any details except that around 3:40 in the morning, the accident occurred near the Eastern Avenue and Shedden Road Junction, and it involved a white Honda Accord. The young lady is a Cuban national, but she's lived in the Cayman Islands, I think, for quite some time. There are pictures here of her going to like elementary school and stuff like that. So her
Oh, that's
condolences.
sad.
Yeah, so her condolences to her family.
Do we know what the situation was behind that crash?
No, I mean, I don't really have any details. Someone said to me that they saw her at the beach earlier, and she seemed like any other normal 20-year-old, just having a good time, hanging out with friends. So I'm not sure where she might have been going at 3:40 in the morning. And there were other persons, I understand, in the vehicle as well. We've actually had people from like Honduras and other countries reach out to us trying to figure out if any of their loved ones were in the vehicle, and we don't yet have any sort of identification who else was in it and how badly their injuries are, except I was told that they were Dominican nationals. So if people are concerned, that might help to narrow down who, the other passengers may have been in the vehicle.
Wow.
So the trial of former CIFA executives Canova Watson and Bruce Blake has begun in earnest. Started on Friday with opening arguments. I was able to pop in a little bit yesterday and listen to some of the trial. So it's going to be a very long trial. I think they have it set down for either 8 or 12 weeks or something uber ridiculous. So it's gonna be a lot of information, and a lot of it is really not. It's not like you're sitting there getting excited every minute by what's happening, but it's a process. So these two gentlemen. Funny enough, the arrest of Bruce Blake in relation to this was our very first story on CMR back on June the 29th of 2017. And he's
Really?
now just coming to trial. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? 5 years later, over 5 years.
That's kind of wild. Yeah.
Yep. So, those are your news headlines. Obviously, the Miss Cayman controversy continues to be the gift that keeps giving. So we have a statement now, some sort of a statement from the Miss Cayman Committee. They've not responded to media queries, but what they have done is gone in another radio show and basically issued a statement. So we're going to dissect that this morning because it's very interesting what they've had to say.
Okay. Any sort of tease as to what they said?
Well, basically, they said that they have the full support of the government, which the Ministry of of Tourism and Transport, which I thought was very, very interesting because the ministry actually hasn't said anything. So we'll break it down. And of course, they're blaming everybody else. Like, oh, it's just one media house pushing the story is what they've claimed.
I also sent you a message about something else related to that. So look into that and see if that might be something to talk about as well. You can dissect that.
Yeah.
later.
Ooh la la. We love a good investigative piece.
It's something I heard on the Marl Road.
Yes, well, we'll certainly look into that to see if we can put it on the official Marl Road.
All right. Well, check out Sandy's show right now on Bobo 89.1 FM, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Wednesday headlines. All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Peppermint, sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
All right, beautiful people. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Cold Hard Truth. It is Tuesday morning. And guess what? All right, let's do a little trivia before we start to get into the hot tea this morning. It's going to be hot again. You know, it is what it is. We'll break it down this morning. I do need to send a quick email to the ministry because they're claiming that the ministry is on board with all these shenanigans. And so we need to really hear. Let me see who in the ministry is the right person. We need to really understand if that is actually the case. So we'll look for official comment. All right. So good morning to everyone. Guess what day today is? Trivia question. What's special about today? Yes. Guesses? All right, shoot. That was a quick fire. All right, so anybody? Melita's here. Rianne. Rocio. Ding, 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 ding. I need my little bell. Ding, ding, ding. Rocio got it. Yes, it is Gigi's birthday. All right, where's my little, hold on now. Hold on. I need a little, yay. Absolutely correct. It is Gianna's birthday. So the first comment I saw up was Rocio. Congratulations, Rocio. I've got your gift certificate. I'll let you choose. You can do Waffle Monkeys, which is really, really good. Go treat yourself to a nice little waffle and some coffee. Yes, it is my daughter's birthday, Gianna. Wow. I cannot believe that 6 years ago, this time in the morning, I was getting ready to be wheeled into the OR. I forget the exact time because, you know, they come in, they prep you. You got to do your epidural and all kind of stuff to get you ready for this big event. So yes. Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? It's just unbelievable. 6 years. The time has just flown by. I honestly can't believe it. Where's my studio phone, by the way? Oh gosh, let me get the studio phone. Yes. So it is an amazing day, obviously. And she is super excited. She's off of, there's no camp or school or anything this week. So of course we were able to, she wakes up at the crack of dawn when she has nothing to do. You know how kids are, right? So we gave her first little present. She's so excited. She's like, I'm so excited for my present. So what an amazing experience is all I can tell you. Um, Kids obviously change your life. And, this is one of those situations where I waited like a really long time. You try to have everything lined up properly. First of all, the most important thing is finding the right person to have a child with you. Because let me tell you something. The crazies are always out there. We've all found ourselves in relationships. And then later on, you're like, oh, thank God I didn't marry this person. Thank God I didn't have kids with this person. Because then that'd be 18 plus years of terror, you know. But this child has the best father in the world. I just really, really lucked out. And he's a great husband, and he is there for family first and foremost. So so thankful for that situation. But I remember when she came out just like it was yesterday, like literally. And yeah, she was a preemie. We were trying for over a year for this baby, and it finally happened. And during the pregnancy, she was like so tiny. And of course, the doctor's like, we don't know what's going on. It got to the point where we did, they have this new fancy test where you don't have to do an epidural, because an epidural can be tricky. You got to be very careful. And so we did this other test where they just draw blood. And unfortunately, after 2 times, and they're not cheap, they were unable to get enough of a sample size to just do the regular pre-birth checks because she was so small. And of course, these doctors know how to scare your child, because they were like, Dr. Dearsaran, big shout out to Dr. Dearsaran as well. He said, well, a lot of times we can't get a sample because something is wrong. And I was totally in calm mode. I think he was looking at me like, are you okay? Because you're a little bit too calm. I'm like, yeah. And he said, what are we going to do? And I said, well, what can we do? All we can do now is pray for the best. And let's get this baby out as quickly as we can once we get her to term. And of course, his position always was like, listen, your body is designed optimally to try and get this baby to term. And then at 8 months, it became obvious that they had to take her because, she just wasn't growing the way that she should have. And he said, all right, your body has done your part. And, it's now medicine and medical technology can now assist and help out with the last month. So we can take her out, we can make sure she's okay and take it from there. And that's what we did. We scheduled a C-section. She was born on I want to say, was it a Tuesday or a Thursday? I think it was actually a Tuesday. And, you go the night before, you check in, you do all the good stuff. And yeah, came out, no major issues. And then it was a question of looking at this baby. And I remember Dr. Watkins saying, she looks perfect. We don't know why she just wasn't growing really fast, or, why she's not a bigger baby. She's only 4 pounds, 1 ounce. And they're like, we don't see anything wrong with her. And so, they did the standard tests, ear, sight, whatever. And then a couple days in, Dr. Watkins said, listen, I think this baby is just perfect. Like, we would be doing any further tests would be looking for needle in a haystack, because we don't even know what we're looking for. So the professional medical advice at this stage is to simply, allow, just watch her, and they'll check all the developmental stuff as she gets older, and, just take it from there. So I thought, all right, well, if that's what we do, that's what we do. And thankfully, other than her size, she has always been on point or even exceeded some of her developmental markers. Just so incredibly thankful. She is just very vibrant, and everybody, I'm sure every parent says this, intelligent. She's got the world really ahead of her, and it will now come down to us providing her with the right environment, and then her doing what she needs to do as she continues to grow and she continues to get older. So every day it's about life lessons, and as parents, it is our responsibility. This is like the most important job in the world, right? And it's our responsibility to make sure that we equip her with all of the tools that she needs to do her best, right? So we give her the best education possible. We instill discipline and consequences and rewards, because it's not all about fighting kids down when they do something wrong. We also need to know how to reward them for good behavior when they get it right. And I think that all of these things in combination with a lot of love and affection is really, really, really important. Sometimes you look at kids and you think, what went wrong? Like, how does a child end up being angry in this world and violent and all these sorts of things? And normally, and I'm not going to say it's every single situation, but normally it is the case that the parents need to take a good look in the mirror, because we as parents create situations, either directly or indirectly, where we allow our children to, become little monsters that are then unleashed in the world. And we look for every excuse in the world to try to justify bad behavior. It is something that really, really gets under my skin because, my aunt never gave me right when I was wrong. Bless her heart, bless her soul. May she rest in peace. And I see a generation now that we are just cuddling so much, and not cuddling in the right way still even, It's not about rewarding good behavior. We reward bad behavior, and that's the problem. So I see us raising children, and even, coming full circle to what we were talking about yesterday, because unfortunately, Ms. Cayman committee has made some comments. We see the young lady has made some comments herself. And so now we need to address that. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but it is so unfortunate when people, and I see the comments on social media, are either deflecting, they think it's funny, and they're not willing to hold this young lady accountable for her behavior. And honestly, I cannot believe that there are people who are joking about this. There are people who think that it's funny to say that, before I get started, let me just grab my phone because nobody's listening to me. I'm messaging people in my house. I'm like, bring me the phone. Before I get started, let me just grab the studio phone real quick. So here's a little music bed. I'll be right back.
I hear the people talking. What are they talking about? This world's gone crazy, and I'm trying to find a way out. Nobody knows where we're going, or if we're going at all.
All right, folks, sorry about that. I was messaging people in the house. Can you get me the show phone? Nobody's paying me any mind because everybody's with the birthday girl. So yeah, it really was bothering me when I see people joking about this and making light of this, and the victims themselves are reaching out going, wow, I can't believe that people think it's funny that someone can beat you up and assault you, and saying things like, oh, she should be, what is it, an what's the fighters called? MMA fighter, which are some of the most violent. I don't know why anybody participates in that particular sport, but it's one of the most violent sports out there because men and women just beat each other up, really for the fun of it. And, there's no real understanding of why we do it, except apparently human beings are very, very violent, and we enjoy that kind of thing. We enjoy watching people beat each other up. And so I find it disturbing. It is a form of violence. It is very, very serious. And I feel like one of the reasons people think it's humorous, it's funny, is because she is a woman. If a man was doing that, hear me out now and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm willing to hear all sides of the argument. But if there's a man that was doing this, if there was a man that was out there beating up other men, or let's switch to sexes, right? Because she's a woman beating up other men. If it was a man beating up other women and came into your house, beat up your mommy, beat up the daughter, and all this kind of stuff, what would your response be? Would you guys think that this was funny? Would you be making comments like, oh, 3 times assaulting multiple people, she should be an MMA fighter? Like, oh, well, if she loses her crown, tell the regiment to recruit her. Like, none of this is funny. It's a lot of things. It's sad, but it ain't funny, right? And the victims are sitting there going, I had a woman come into my house. One victim said, that was the worst 10 minutes of my life, because that's how long she's beaten him and his son up for, right? Before help could arrive. And he did everything in his power not to knock her the hell out. Because I'm sure, I don't know what his skill sets are, but they say Dape knew who to frighten. She not buck up on the wrong person yet. Because one of these days she gonna start assaulting somebody, even a police officer, and they gonna take their baton or their taser and just smack the shit out of her, which maybe is what she needs. Because when you go around beating up all these people and there are no repercussions for your actions, right? Your own mother afraid of you, your own sister gets beat up by you, multiple boyfriends, multiple girls, and then you hear people victim shaming. Well, what did they do to deserve it? I'm just like, what on earth is wrong with this world? What makes you think that they did anything? We can't accept on the face of it that a woman can be violent and a woman can beat the shit out of you. And there are men who, despite being beat up with a woman, still will not punch her out. This is the world, folks, that honestly we're living in. I was flabbergasted, and I remain flabbergasted at some of the comments that I am seeing on social media. I simply cannot believe this. Right? Unbelievable. People think it's funny. Oh, let's make a joke about it. The victims don't think it's funny. There are victims who are sitting there reading these comments who are absolutely disgusted. And they are still going through the process. It's sad. And so, as I reflect on where I was 6 years ago, thank you guys so much for all the birthday greetings from my daughter. I am reminded every single day that my job and my biggest obligation in this world is that of being a good mother, even if I didn't have always the benefit of that situation, right? Because I think to myself, my God, is it possible that I could raise a child like this? Who sits on a platform yesterday, keeps her mouth shut, tells half-truths, refuses to answer the questions, letting the elder committee members take advantage of, oh, well, let them answer it because they were the ones who were beating somebody up, obviously. And then they're going to now try to placate and cover up the situation. I cannot tell you how disgusted I am by the whole thing. 10 minutes in some situations is like the blink of an eye. 10 minutes of violence, right, is probably, as this man said, really the longest 10 minutes of your life. Let me tell you precisely what she did in those 10 minutes. October the 15th, 2019, 3-month relationship with another young man ended. She messaged him and said, if you don't come out, you'll regret it. Little did he know what that meant. And he wouldn't come out. She went banging on the door, the father said, to prevent her from breaking down my front door. I opened the door. Had he had the vision of foresight, I guess he wouldn't have opened the door. He would have just called the police, but who knew? He didn't know. He didn't know about the other 2 times that she'd been in court for assaulting multiple people. He didn't know about the assaults on her mother, the sister, and other people who didn't even take her to court. He had no clue what he was getting into. Right? So he opens the door and he's like, why are you knocking down my door? You're gonna break the glass in my door. She immediately starts to assault him. And for those of you who are talking about, oh, well, what did he do? You know what he did? I gotta tell y'all what he did. He answered the door. That's what he did. That's what he did. He answered the door. What he did was be the father of, unfortunately, this young man who decided to get in a relationship with this girl who is unhinged. That's what he did. None of that is anything wrong. So he didn't do anything wrong. Opening the door when someone is banging your door down and you think, okay, let me just, open the door and see what's going on here. You're not at fault. That doesn't give someone the right to just beat you up for 10 minutes. And nobody should be taken light of the situation just because she's a woman. Right? Women are capable, and I think maybe as a community, we've not yet accepted how some women are capable of immense violence. And that is certainly the case here. Unbelievable. This is what, he refused to entertain her after she arrived at the residence as the boyfriend, which then prompted her to start banging at the door. In his police statement, the father shared that he answered the door to prevent her from breaking the glass. She then forced her way in to get to the son who had locked himself up in his room. It was at this time that she started an immediate onslaught on the father. Punched him in the face. Punched him in the face. Y'all listen very carefully. Not slap him, Punched him in the face. Head butted him. What the actual, what? Who the hell head butted him? Punched somebody in the face. Head butted him, scratched him on his forehead, grabbed his reading glasses off of his face and smashed those up. At that point, the poor man is calling for the neighbor. Please come and help us. He said he also wanted an eyewitness because he could imagine how all of a sudden this story would go from what actually happened to, oh, he did something to her. So he's calling the neighbor. We need a witness. While the police are on their way, call 911, and they're calling for the authorities as well and the neighbor to come. Somebody help us. You go your entire life to be assaulted. I don't know how old this victim is, but I'm going to guess. He's probably late 40s, maybe early 50s. Go your entire life living, a relatively peaceful life, to then be assaulted probably for the first time. I don't imagine, like I said, I'm not going to out the victim here, but I do not think that this man is the type of man that you would even see. He's a business owner, just keeps to himself, really. How old is he? Sometimes it's hard to tell, but I would say he's probably in his late 40s, maybe early 50s. Right? He's got a son in his 20s, so just going off of that. Have just some young girl come and beat you up like this in your own home. As he's calling 911, she continues to assault him, ripping off the man's shirt, ripping his shirt. My phone keeps ringing. I'm getting all of the overseas family calling to wish Gigi happy birthday, no doubt. The son who's hearing the assault then came to his father's aid. He was also assaulted by being kicked in the groin. For those of you who that's a fancy word for, he was kicked in the nuts. Biting him. And by the way, she seems to have a propensity to kick people in the nuts. It's not the first time. In the 2 earlier cases, she also kicked the police in the nuts. That's her, I guess that's her signature move, if you will. Right? Bit him on the chest, slapped him in the face. Then she took the anger out of the family vehicles, so she wasn't done. Took her bicycle, and I'm thinking her bicycle. Did she cycle to this onslaught? Because, I mean, she lives in West Bay, so I guess she must have took her bike and rode there because she probably still doesn't have a license after the last fiasco. I don't know. But she rode there, took her bicycle, threw it on the bonnet of a white Kia Sportage, cracked the front windshield, wasn't done, went to the second vehicle, took a concrete block and threw it into the rear of the Toyota Starlet, causing that glass to break as well. You know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. When we saw the video, right? So let's talk about the duplicity of who we are as people. When we saw the video of Charles Whitaker, y'all remember that, where he had a moment, he lost control, and Charles was 1,000% wrong. Whatever his reasons were, whatever he's feeling at the time, losing control where you were breaking and damaging a government facility, a government building is completely wrong. We allowed him to come on the program. He talked about what happened, but we have never. You might have an explanation for your behavior, but it's not an excuse for your behavior. And they're two very, very different things. And we've never given Charles right. He should have been able to, as a mature man, keep it together despite whatever him and Tracy had going on. And despite Tracy being relatively aggressive and getting in his face, right? And despite locking him out of the gym, which he says he helped to build. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I love Charles and it don't make no difference. Right is right and wrong is wrong. But when we all saw that video, we got a sense of, you know, hearing a story is different than seeing a story. So imagine if this victim had all of this on video, what would you all be saying here today? You wouldn't find this funny because it's not funny. You would be shocked that a young lady could bite somebody on the chest, that she could kick them on the nuts and all this kind of stuff. And for those of you, and I'm going to talk about the Miss Cayman response, the committee response here today, talking about, oh, there are two sides to the story. Y'all need to really shut your mouth because you are now officially an embarrassment to this country trying to defend her story. And talking about, oh, there's two, I can tell y'all what the two sides to the story is. Let's watch the video and then we can respond to the absolutely shocking, but not shocking, response of the Miss Cayman Committee. They have to defend her because by defending her, they're defending their own incompetence. Y'all want the cold hard truth this morning? The committee knew beforehand, at least. And now they're like, oh, well, we didn't know. And she came to us and blah, blah. Let's listen to what they've had to say. And then we're going to break it down. Because now this is all about let's cover our asses. That's all this is. The community is in an uproar. They want to say that, oh, yeah, it's just me. Nobody else cares about this. And that simply is not the truth. But here's what they had to say, folks. Here we go. I think this is the first one.
You know, online, people can say a lot of stuff as they always.
And by the way, I got a lot of respect for Mariah Tibbetts. She seems like a young lady, unlike this other queen who has, you know, put in the work, who's held it together, who's done well for herself. Someone messaged me yesterday and said even her participation in this has disappointed them because they also have a lot of respect for her. They said that she believes, and I didn't even know this, that apparently she works for, is it KPMG or one of these audit companies? And she said, you can imagine, this is a young man who said to me, you can imagine that if one of Mariah's clients that she's auditing was found to have done wrongdoing, even in the past, she would understand the implications of that past behavior having repercussions going forward. The things that that client would not be able to do going forward. And the way, I wish I could play the voice note that they sent me, because the way that they described it, I was like, wow, that's quite an interesting way to look at it. You know, I didn't even know what her job was in terms of that. But I mean, it was just so well explained that as an auditor, you wouldn't allow someone who had been, involved in previous improprietous behavior to continue to do certain things, that it just isn't allowed. There are certain behaviors that prohibit you in the future from being eligible to do things, and those are called consequences in life. So here's the response. It's now everybody get on board, right? Someone was asking me yesterday, have we decided or have we asked any of the other candidates how they felt? Because people said even watching it, they felt like the response that normally a winner gets, Tiffany didn't get on stage. And so they were curious to know how the other 7 contestants felt about this. And to be honest, I know right now that a lot of people in Cayman think that this whole entire Miss Cayman Universe situation is a joke. Here's what one of the victims said. He said, I listened to the show. What is so sad and disturbing about this situation is there's no acknowledgement, no remorse, no apology, just brazen denial by an increasing number of people. I've never been a fan of beauty pageants, and now my opinion has elevated to disdain. You have people in this community who will no longer support any beauty pageant because of what is happening right now. Imagine that. Because they see it's all about the fakeness of it all. It's all about sitting there with a pretty face and having no substance to you, no accountability, no nothing. Let's listen to their response, folks. So it starts off with Mariah Tibbetts broaching, I should say, the whole topic. She kicks off the questions.
Online, people can say a lot of stuff, as they always do. I know there's been some controversy recently in the last couple of days about some things that have come out online. And I just wanted to give you a chance to make a statement about it. I don't know how the committee feels about it, what you want to tell the public about it, because I think they're only seeing one side of the story. Honestly, people don't know the full story. And I think that's the advantage of freedom of speech, being able to tell your side of the story.
Absolutely. And I think a good journalist presents both sides, not just push like one narrative, really. And I think it's just.
So let me just stop Derry right there. Because for all of the years that I've known Derry, I'm surprised that she could even make such a comment. But I'm going to really dissect what she had to say. A good journalist provides both sides, right? Not just pushes a particular narrative. Let's let her finish that thought.
It's really one platform that's pushing a negative narrative right now. Tiffany really, she demonstrated, that.
All right. So first of all, it's not a negative narrative, Derry. It's the truth. We're simply speaking the truth, right? She says that, what was the first thing she said again? Oh, honey child, my head this morning.
Online, people can say a lot of stuff, as they always do. I know there's been some controversy recently in the last couple of days about some things that have come out online. And I just wanted to give you a chance to make a statement about it. I don't know how the committee feels about it, what you want to tell the public about it, because I think they're only seeing one side of the story. Honestly, people don't know the full story. And I think that's the.
Yeah, people don't know the full story, she says, and they're only hearing one side of the story. Okay. Well, the side of the story that we have presented is going to the court office, sitting down, reading numerous case files, right? And bringing that story to you all. When they talk about there's more than one side to story. What I know is that this young lady has gone to them and has said to them that she was being held down by the police and she was being held down by this man and her son, and everything that she did was in self-defense. Now, the committee has chosen to believe that. That's on them, right? That's her side of the story. They're saying that, oh, as proper journalists, there's two sides to a story. They themselves have only heard one side to a story, which obviously they were okay with. They never did any due diligence. They never went and looked at the court files, which they could have requested. They never asked her about the rest of her history, which, by the way, we're going to talk about, because I think at one point Renegade asked them, when did you become aware of this? And they're like, oh, well, in the past, we knew there was some sort of a traffic incident. They just downplay everything. Feigning ignorance is never an excuse. Let's continue to listen to Derry, who again is the Miss Cayman Islands Committee chairperson.
Narrative, really. And I think it's just really one platform that's pushing a negative narrative right now.
And thank you, Cayman News Service, for also stepping up to the plate and doing the right thing. Only really 3 media houses left in Cayman, right? Cayman News Service covered the story, saying, oh, Miss Cayman's in court for all these charges. The Compass won't touch it because that's their sponsor for the event. In fact, someone sent me a question this morning. They said, Sandy, can you please look into how is it that the person who won, allegedly, because I'll double check this after the show, who won the Compass's multimedia contest for Miss Cayman was also sponsored by Compass Media. I don't know if that's true or not. And they said she's also dating someone who works at Compass Media. Compass Media sponsored someone? I know they were the major sponsor for the pageant. They were the major media sponsor. So the fact that they're not going to cover it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. This is a question now of you're getting money in your pocket. So that ties and binds your mouth and your ability to speak. So I see someone trying to call. Let me just see what their comments are. Or they're referring to some comment where someone named Mary Carter is saying, someone just sent me this. Apparently he's in the comment section saying, I will once again say, Sandy, why this young lady being targeted this way on your page? Gosh, we get it. You don't like this girl. Okay. If that's what you're getting, Amiri, you've lost the plot. But why make her into this horrible person? You're not the courts. Let them judge her. He without sin cast the first stone. Just imagine how you'd feel if you was to drove this young lady into suicidal thoughts. And I want to talk about that too. Let me take Amiri. Someone says his correct name is Hyven Carter, wanted for theft in the Cayman Islands. Cayman business machine, stole over $26,000. Oh, Hyven. So someone sees your comment and they're giving us the lowdown and exactly who you are. Is it amazing when you decide to open your mouth? And I've said this before, that sometimes what you should do is exercise caution when you yourself has a closet full of skeletons. So let's look at what has been sent in about Hyven this morning. Again, people like to have all these names on social media. His correct name is Hyven Carter, wanted for theft in Cayman Islands, stole $26,000 from Cayman Business Machine, owns for another house. Remember the guy that was looking for, and he went back to Honduras. I think the lady was on your show a while back. He started her home, but never finished it, owing like $50,000. Well, that's him using his son's name. His name is not Amiri. Tell him his correct name is Hyven Wilbert Carter. You hear them crickets there? Hyven Wilbert Carter. That's you, sir. Whoever you are. I don't know who you are. But one of our astute listeners to the program got your digits and look like they're quite high. Let me say this because I think this is important to understand. One of the reasons why this young lady keeps getting a pass is because she always says that she has mental health issues. So when it's time for her to be held accountable, she says that she is suicidal and she has mental health problems. She's not suicidal, has mental health problems any other time. And I'm not saying whether she does or doesn't. I'm just saying that it's interesting how the mental health concerns come and go. So when she isn't getting her way, right? She says she's suicidal, and that puts everybody in line. She gets the response that she wants. So nobody can touch her. The courts give her a slap on the wrist, nothing recorded, right? She runs to the psychiatrist. So Carter, whoever you are, you have a point that somebody is definitely being played here, but it's not really me. If this young lady can't even handle her own emotions, and she has serious mental health issues, whether she's bipolar, she suffers from, who was it said yesterday, some kind of violent outburst syndrome or whatever the hell it is. That is who you want to be Miss Cayman? You're making my argument for me. Someone who has chosen, and by the way, for the record, you'll hear what she said here in a second in her response. She decided to run in this competition 2 weeks after this onslaught on this man and his son. 2 weeks after a violent incident, you think that I would be talking or thinking in my head that the right thing to do is to run in a beauty pageant? You don't even they're talking about, oh, she deserves second chances. You don't even let enough time go by. You don't even apologize to this man and his son. And the first thing on your mind within 2 weeks is, oh, you want to run in a beauty pageant as a contestant? Keep listening to the BS come out of Derry's mouth.
Really, she demonstrated, that she was committed to this journey leading up to the crown, and she worked very hard for it.
Absolutely.
And so myself, the committee, and the Ministry of Tourism supports her 100% during her journey, and we will continue to support her during her reign. And you may see some negative comments here locally,
right?
But some of the major pageant bloggers, they do not promote bullying.
Exactly.
So even if it's like
so hold on, the major pageant bloggers don't promote bullying. So now she's trying to say that because we're discussing this, because we're speaking the truth, that we're bullying her. So I want to know, these supposed major pageant bloggers, which I don't know who they are, do they support violence? Do they support winners of pageants having a violent history and having current cases in court where they're beating people up? Is that what they support? I mean, I would love to hear from some other beauty queens from all over the world to see what they do think and what their position is. Trying to control this narrative and not doing a very good job at it, I must add. She's horrible. I'm sorry, Derry, but this is the worst case of trying to control a situation and public PR responses and whatever that I've ever seen. Oh, the ministry is fully supporting her. The ministry supports this foolishness. Eden asked the question. Good morning, Sandy. What are your thoughts on the judge? Oh, we'll get there. We touched on it yesterday, but the ministry has not issued any sort of a comment. So I'm wondering, does the ministry, we've reached out to them for comment, does the ministry actually support this? I want to know. I know they support the pageant and they've given thousands of dollars. They make this pageant possible. But I now need to know. The Minister of Tourism himself, I know, is very, very supportive of giving people second chances. This girl is on her 10th chance now. But I want to know what his position is. This is the same man who, by the way, was in a situation of his own, not where he was assaulting people unprovoked, where he was trying to defend someone. And the consequences for him was that the previous premier of this country fired him from his job, even before he had his day in court. And in the past, we've seen him say in the situation with McKeeva Bush, oh, let's just wait and see what the court process is. So maybe that will be the minister's position again. Let's just wait and see. But this is a situation where she has 2 previous incidents that were not recorded, but they were very, very clear. And I want to go through some of the details there again. Kicking people in the nuts multiple times, police officers, assaulting police officers, kicking out the glass or trying to kick out the glass in a police car. Carrying an offensive weapon was one of her charges. Broke into somebody's car and took out the machete and went into their home. These are very, very serious, not just allegations, but things that she was actually found guilty of. They were simply just not recorded.
Do updates, for instance, Real Mississology, and they're like the major pageant bloggers, and they're not going to promote bullying, not even the Miss Universe organization.
Right.
So whoever writes to them or whoever, just wants to highlight certain negativity, they're all about.
So this is interesting because Derry has been copied an email from some young man who was writing to the Miss Universe Committee saying the overall committee in the international front, asking whether or not they're going to allow this to happen here in the Cayman Islands and if she'll be eligible to participate. So what Derry has just said is that by those people contacting and going through that complaint process, that somehow equates to bullying, which I'm very, very surprised at. Do people not have a right to email in and say, here's a contestant and we have a concern about it? I've seen the correspondence because the young man has sent it to me and there was nothing in there that amounted to bullying. He says, good afternoon, Miss whoever and Mr. whatever. These are people at the international pageant. Apologies if I'm not sure if public relations or brand was the department I should reach out to. I am writing on behalf of my concerns with the competency and ability of the Miss Universe chapter of my country, the Cayman Islands. Today, a queen was crowned. However, she's currently in court for alleged offenses that took place in 2026, 6 charges, including assaulting police officers. She has prior convictions expunged. Technically, they were never recorded, so expunged isn't quite the right word. Many years ago, to give her another chance at life. And it wasn't really many years ago, but anyway. And now she's facing the potential for another conviction later in 2022. Is this disqualifying? ? Can you direct me to someone who can answer this question? And is there any way to suspend the local Miss Universe delegation representatives for incompetence or dereliction of duty? Any guidance or assistance would be much appreciated. How is reaching out to Miss Universe internationally even to be considered bullying? I can't believe what I'm hearing from Derry. And this again was an interview that she did yesterday. We messaged her the day before in her committee for a comment. 12 hours later, they responded and they said they'd get back to us soon. They haven't responded to that, but they went on Star 92.7 yesterday and conducted this interview. And so now I'm playing for you guys the interview from that.
As well as the committee, all about women's empowerment.
Yes.
And yes, people make mistakes in the past, but we just want to basically, embrace these young ladies that are trying to improve themselves and eventually become role models in the community. And that's really what we're about.
Right.
We realize that there are imperfections in everyone, but everyone is, like Tiffany herself is always striving for excellence.
Yes.
So yeah, we're thoroughly supportive of Tiffany, and we will continue to support her wholeheartedly for sure.
Yeah.
And we're trying to move away from that. Well, we're not a part of that crabs the barrel mentality sort of thing. But yeah, it's all about women's empowerment and positivity here.
All about women's empowerment and positivity. Folks, you do not empower women by teaching them that it's okay to assault and beat people up. That's not how you empower women. It is an insult. Women who are traditionally seen as nurturing, as having the ability to communicate well, problem solvers. Women are some of the best leaders in the world because we do not tend to resort to violence, unlike some of our male counterparts on the international political front. But like I said, if this was a man, you would have no one sitting there saying that a man who's done all of these things, you're trying to encourage male empowerment for someone who has violent tendencies. Y'all would have locked him up. And you would be asking, what is wrong with him? He has too much testosterone or something. And she mentioned about, eventually becoming a role model. Shouldn't you already be a role model? Shouldn't you have a history of exemplary behavior And that's why you get elected and you become Miss Cayman in the first place. It's not about becoming Miss Cayman and then later on, after you're crowned, you become an example to young girls. We have what's the word I'm looking for? We have the right word is escaping me right now, but we have a crisis situation on our hands where we have so many fights in our government schools in particular, right? Violence in our homes, domestic violence in our community, gun violence, all sorts of violence. And the one candidate that you chose out of all the candidates, and like she said, yes, nobody's perfect. So I've heard some of them, oh, this one smokes pot, this one has a bad attitude, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But none of the other ones have been on tirades of assaulting people one after the other. So the best you could do to try to make somebody eventually become a role model is pick someone who has a violent history and 2 weeks after engaging in additional violent acts, decides to run in your pageant. That's the best you could do. And you think that this is good? This is who you're going to use as a role model to go into schools and talk to young girls who themselves are struggling with violence as either victims or fighting in schools and that sort of thing? I'm really lost for how any of this makes any sense. Carmelie says, what is that Miss Cayman should step down and give the first runner-up the crown until the court cases are finished. Shirley says, good morning, Sandy. I'd like to get my $90 back. I don't support any organization that condones any type of violence. Well, email Derry, email the Miss Cayman Committee and say to them, you want a refund of your money. I always encourage people on this program. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about, by the way, don't miss tomorrow's show. We have a local business owner in the construction business who is refusing to pay his staff 8 weeks now. Has a government contract at that. Caymanian families. Y'all make sure you tune in. So I say hold people accountable. If a business is mistreating their workers and they're not doing right, move your accounts. I've told you guys this before. Don't engage with them. Don't give them more money. Don't give them more business. Send a message in the way that most organizations understand it. Miss Cayman relies on funding. They're always complaining they don't have enough money, they don't have enough this, whatever. So government foots the bill. If you are unhappy with the committee's behavior here, let's set aside the young lady for a minute because it would not have been possible for her to run if the committee had put their foot down. Reach out to your minister. Email him, call him. Reach out to the ministry, right? Government is spending, will FOI how much money they're giving to this pageant. Shirley and others, if you went to the pageant and you spent your $90 plus, email Derry and tell her you would like a refund. Because the position that they have taken right now in supporting this is, oh, it's no big deal. You know, everybody makes mistakes. This isn't a mistake. Time after time after time. This is a deliberate situation. Jonathan says, come on, Sandy, give them a break. You know, if they had said the wrong thing to her, she probably would have gone off in that studio. And that is really, really sad. I mean, to me, it's not a joke because it's not far from the truth. Who knows what the response would have been? If they said, you know, she did these things in the past and we can't give her right, she probably would have punched Derry right there on camera. Moya says, to be honest, her actions and behavior shows us she's a horrible person and she needs to learn remorse and empathy and address her victims with an actual apology. She needs to learn how not to be triggered and have violent outbursts that could end up assaulting numerous people. Not could, has ended up. Mallory says, guilty is guilty. This is ridiculous. You can't ignore the victims. And I really want you to really focus on the fact that these victims are watching this situation. You know, they're listening to the commentary in the community and they're hearing you guys supporting this and thinking, wow. Jonathan says you can tell by the look in her face that she did not like the question on the controversy. Well, poor Derry looked like she hasn't been sleeping. She needs to get some sleep. I must say I haven't really seen her look so stressed. Tracy says she used the money to pay for accident repairs. Good morning, Miss Joy. Linda. Allison said nobody's safe. Well, apparently. Amanda says this woman is making Cayman look ridiculous. Cayman step up and disqualify her. She has previous too. Yeah. Y'all, I mean, the amount of what she has done in the past is just quite shocking. So Tracy says bullying, step down, Derry. Miss Universe Committee will not be accepting her. Yeah, and listen, Tracy and others have reached out to the Miss Universe Committee. I haven't done that. Derry wants to push this narrative that, we're the ones who are on this negativity train. No, we're on a realistic train. We're on a train that, victims should be heard. Victims do have a voice. And this is a train that we've always been on. This is nothing new. So for those of you who think that for some reason I don't like this young lady, I don't know this young lady from the Man in the Moon. I don't know anything about her. I don't know who she is. When my aunt said to me the other day, she your family, I'm like, I don't know and I don't care. I don't know family, how, who, when, I don't care. Right? Like I said, if you just look at the outward package, which apparently is all that the Miss Cayman Committee is really worried about, she looks good. She sounds good. Anybody can see that. But there should be more to pageantry than just that, but evidently not. And this has soured a lot of her opinions of pageantry. So the interview continued.
Did you know about her past before she entered?
Well, the thing is, when Tiffany entered in 2018, there was a traffic issue. And on an application, basically, that's an exemption from us actually disqualifying a contestant, a minor traffic accident. The circumstances that may have arose around that, is...
Sorry. Oh, my gosh. She says a minor traffic accident. Wow. The whitewashing of what actually happened is truly shocking. You guys remember yesterday, I went through the whole, details of that traffic accident. It wasn't a minor traffic accident. It was a traffic accident that occurred with a young lady who had no driver's license, a car that was not insured for 3 years. And she refused to pay for the damages, lied to the police. It was only when the police finally came forward and said, you are at fault for this accident. There's no other way that this could happen. This young lady was trying to completely change the narrative of how the accident happened and blame the other driver after she ran into her vehicle and could have very well, not just damaged the vehicle itself, but could have very well injured her daughter who was sitting on that side of the vehicle. That's not a minor traffic incident. It's not a minor traffic incident when someone refuses to take accountability for their behavior and sends a message to the owner of the vehicle after refusing to pay and after being ordered by the court numerous times and ignoring court orders to reimburse this woman and pay for the damages. She refused to do that. Not only did she refuse to do that, she wanted my friend can fix your vehicle for you. And as the date approached, remember what I said yesterday? And Miss Salima reached out to Conley. She says, looks like you get what the duck get. Those are behaviors, right? The way that she's responding. Oh, this isn't just a minor traffic accident or minor fender bender. This is a young lady who has no regard for the law. She doesn't care if her vehicle is insured, which is really, really serious. You lose your license for a year for that, right? And if you, heaven forbid, you kill somebody, how are they going to get compensated? You drive around an uninsured vehicle. It was her sister's vehicle. She wasn't even covered. Even if it had insurance, she wouldn't have been covered because she was only 18 years old. Then she turns around, no driver's license. And then on top of all of those infractions, which are not minor traffic accident, she then has an attitude to boot that comes with it, refuses to pay the woman, and then get a message her talking about you get what the duck get. Wow.
still, I think Tiffany herself can probably speak to that and how that was resolved. Everyone in life deserves a second chance. And so when we received Tiffany's application and, the committee obviously discussed it and we're just on board and just, giving her a second chance. I believe that in today's society, we cannot be so harsh on our young people and just, be the judge and executioner of.
All right. So let me talk about this concept of being harsh on our young people. Cayman has never had that as a problem, I can assure you. In fact, we don't hold our young people accountable, none at all. We live in a community where our young people get away with the most egregious behavior, and we are happy to just continue to allow them to do so. Who has been harsh on this young lady? If she had somebody be harsh on her, she might not be where she is today. She might have reined it in a long time ago. This is what happens when you have children and you allow them to go through life believing and understanding that their behavior has no consequences. Because one of these days, she gonna buck up on someone who's gonna be like, no, your behavior does have consequences. Let's hope that this court case and whatever magistrate gets this case is the one to finally say, no, enough is enough. Cayman doesn't have a reputation of being harsh on our young people. We have a reputation of being too soft, not holding them accountable, turning a blind eye, pretending like they're not into drugs and gun violence and physical violence and all this other stuff. That's what we have a reputation for. So I don't know what harshness she happens to be talking about.
Of their fate in such a harsh way. And we just wanted to, be a part of this young lady trying to strive for excellence, really. And here she is, so in terms of us knowing, some of the alleged, I guess, pending charges or whatever, no.
So they're not alleged pending charges. She has been charged. They're not pending charges, Derry. Let us please get with the program, right? The fact that you would even use that word where you think these are pending charges means that you have not even been following the process. She is charged in a court of law, 6 offenses. Okay? The charges are not pending. The charges have been filed against her. And that was done January of this year. 6 charges, 2 for common assault. That's for assaulting the father and the son. 2 counts of property damage for the 2 vehicles, disorderly conduct at a police station, and assaulting a police officer, which, by the way, she boxed twice in the face. The neighbor's vehicle was also damaged, but he decided not to press any charges. Okay. Andrea says, what the hell she just said about women empowerment, empowering women to be violent and bullied and bully. Ruby says this should have never happened and have been allowed. Ruby also says, does she speak for herself on this interview, or has she been told to keep quiet? Well, again, this is what we do. When we talk about, we're being too hard on them. We're not being hard on them. We take up for them and we don't even allow them to speak. I think at some point during this, she speaks, so we'll keep listening. Jess says, I would like to hear the ministry get on your show and tell the people of the 3 Cayman Islands how they support this kind of violent behavior. So would I. Tracy says Lorraine Downs, Miss New Zealand, Miss Universe, is involved with Miss Universe Committee, and she's losing her crown, full stop, and the committee is being looked into. So Tracy has reached out to the Miss Universe Committee. I don't know. Eden says, Gigi, look at the Speaker of the House, and he was democratically voted in. One of the judges of the pageant has a past assault conviction. Examples, inspiration.
We were not fully aware. It just all came to, I guess, to our attention, and Tiffany brought it to our attention, to be honest, and I actually commend her for that a couple of months before the
So hold on a second. You're commending her. This is the bullshit that I'm talking about here now this morning. Forgive my language, y'all. Right? oh, we're too harsh on young people. You're commending her for bringing it to light a couple months before the pageant. The young lady has said that 2 weeks after this assault, she decided to enter the pageant. At the application stage, if you wanted to commend her, what she should have done at the application stage is completely disclose this before you all even decided to accept her application. So she put in an application, makes no mention of it. Y'all listen to me carefully now, right? Gets approved, is in the thick of the pageant. 2 months before, that would have been June, really, when they heard it, because other people were like, what's this? What's this? Right? Oh, she runs to them because a court case, the date was coming up for the trial. She goes and tells them about it, and they're commending her for that. Something wrong with y'all, No, the only way she gets commended had she done it at the application stage. You don't commend her for doing so months before and putting your entire pageant now in this type of limelight. Oh, but no, we'll commend her for that. Oh, she did such a great job. Your standards are so low that it really is disturbing, to be honest.
Pageant.
There is another segment. I don't know why we were not able to grab this one. But there was another piece where she actually spoke. Oh gosh, I don't know why we were not able to download the third one. Let me see here. But let me tell you what she said, because I did have Renee actually transcribe it. For some reason, I'm not able to get it. Hold on one second here. Let me get it, because I although we have an exact transcription, I'd rather let me just see here. I'd rather y'all be able to hear it for yourselves. Of course, the first thing they want to do is, oh, you're putting misinformation out there, blah, blah, blah. Let me see if this is it. So there's one that says you need access to be able to get it. So we did reach out to Star 92.7 and they provided, but let me see if they put it online on the Star page. Mm-hmm. So there is a third segment here. They did it like in clips, I think, for the purposes of their social media stuff. So they don't have anything up on their webpage since July. Let me see if it's on Instagram. But there is a bit where she responds. Let's see if it's on Instagram Reels. Yeah, so there's 3 portions to this. Let me just see which one of these is yeah, so this is her. Let me just see if I can open this up to, where's the audio? Okay, all right. So let's see here. One second, folks. Okay, so, oops, sorry. All right, so you're gonna see me within a screen within a screen.
Tiffany, obviously you didn't enter the pageant.
Oh, sorry. Give me one second.
Now, Tiffany, obviously you didn't enter the pageant to be second or third. You knowing in your hand, okay, if and when I do win, this stuff would come to light. So how are you dealing with it?
Honestly, I haven't seen any negative comments. And I know everyone, when I tell them that, they're like, how is that possible?
Hold on one second. Let me just see. I think I've got to share this screen differently. So, yes. All right, here we go. All right, let's refresh this page.
See, you didn't enter the pageant to be second or third. You knowing in your head, okay, if and when I do win, this stuff would come to light. So how are you dealing with it?
Honestly, I haven't seen any negative comments. And I know everyone, when I tell them that, they're like, how is that possible? There's so much going on. I decided to enter the pageant in October of last year. So this was not just a few weeks in the making, or when I saw the application come out on Instagram, I was like, oh, I'll do that. No, I had this in mind so that when I won, that it would be a springboard for me for the future endeavors that I have planned. And I actually decided to enter 2 weeks after the incident that is now out there. So I knew that it had already transpired. I knew that if I did win, that it would come to light if it wasn't resolved beforehand. But I also know that what is being spoken about and what is out there is not factual. And I think that if I was to feed into something that's not even real, not even true, then it would tear me out from the inside, and I wouldn't be able to have a great reign. So I'm hoping that my team is working diligently and hard for the truth to come out. And when that does, I wouldn't have had to engage with any of the negative things that are being said. And I'm very happy to know that in my reign, I will be showcasing.
Now, Tiffany, obviously you didn't.
I mean, I would have liked to have gotten the rest of that, but let me see if the transcription has it. So basically, she says that she's ignoring everything, which is good for her. I mean, I wish her victims could ignore what has transpired. So she says, honestly, I haven't seen any negative comments. And I know everyone, when I tell them that, they say, how is that possible? Well, to me, that's possible when you live in a state of delusion. That's how that's possible. You're in such a state of denial, you know, because I mean, Renegade said, obviously you knew that this was going to have to come out. And she's like, oh, you know, and I decided to enter the pageant in October of last year. So this was not just a few weeks in the making, or when I saw the application come out on Instagram. That doesn't exactly answer the question. What does that have to do with, you know, you knew that this would come out, like, and again, she didn't bother at the time of applying to tell the committee. She goes on to say, I knew that if I did win, that it would come to light if it wasn't resolved beforehand. But I also know that what is being spoken about and what is out there is not factual. So I want to address that for just a minute, because again, this is where one of the Cayman Committee talks about, you know, taking one side or giving one side. They themselves have accepted her position that she was defending herself. But the police interviewed her. There's a police interview, and let me tell you, they record these interviews, right? And that will now be part of her trial. That would undoubtedly be played in trial. When they interviewed her, she accepted quite a bit of what she had done. So what's going to be the new narrative? Well, what is the truth? Because in her police interview, she admitted, let me go back to the story here, right? She admitted to, this is what she admitted to. So despite claiming that the story is not factual, during her police interview, she admitted to tearing the man's shirt and claims that she might have scratched his face, but did not recall punching him. So she didn't say she didn't punch him. She said she didn't recall doing it. Okay. She made no comment about assaulting the police, and she made no comment about assaulting the vehicles. But she did admit to kicking her former boyfriend in the groin. So what part of it are we waiting for your team? I don't know who this team is. What are we waiting for them to do in terms of the truth? How are they going to spin this? What, these are spin doctors that are going to do what exactly? Right? That was during her police interview. At the police station, she continued to be disorderly and fighting with them in transport. When at the detention center, she would not comply with any of their instructions to calm down. And now she's being charged with striking a police officer in the face, not once, but twice in this same incident. And her psychiatrist or psychologist, I don't know what his official title is, was contacted about this. And, you know, yeah, that was, he said it's okay to interview her. Who was at Deloitte? Somebody is sending me a thing here. I don't know who this is meant to be. Oh, hold on. I think someone might have sent me the full interview. Yes. Okay. Let's see if I can download this. But essentially, you know, that's her response. That's what she says. Someone else says, wow, their head is in the sand. I can't believe that they don't see how disgraceful this is for this person to represent Cayman. Entering 2 weeks after the incident, she was not one bit concerned about being held accountable. It really is shocking. Someone says, for the show, what about the time that she went to credit union to smash up her ex-boyfriend's car? He works at the credit union. AJ, what he goes by. Adrian is his name. And you see, this is the thing too, that I want to be very clear, right? This is a third court case, but there are other things that have never made it to court. They're talking about bullying and empowering women. And during the actual pageant, the government, I don't know if it was government because it's their channel, so it had to be one of them, the GIS team, who was live streaming the feed, was busy removing all of the negative comments about this particular young lady. And one of the comments said, after she answered her question about empowering women, let me tell you what somebody sent me yesterday. And again, I wasn't watching the live stream like that, so I didn't see any of these comments. But one of the comments actually said something like, hold on here now. Let me see. This again was on the government live stream, but relation to Tiffany, it said, wait a minute, you're talking about empowering young women. Let me just see where this comment is. And yet you're posting nude pictures of other girls online. It's just, the whole thing is an absolute joke. The whole thing is a joke. Where is that one? So someone had to be monitoring the feeds, and they were going through deleting all of the stuff, all the negativity, as they say, because again, what they have just said in that interview from yesterday, at least what Derry said, is I'm the only one who's pushing the negativity. Well, then Derry needs to explain why they were so busy deleting all of the comments during the pageant itself. And some of the comments included, like this one that I'm telling you guys, where someone was like, how are you going to answer that question about social media, girl, when you were posting naked pictures of another girl online? Trying to see where that was. Anyway, somebody sent it to me in WhatsApp yesterday. And I'm just like, what? Whoever that was, if you're listening, resend it, because I can't even find it now. But yeah, this is all the stuff that, you know, was going on. And so there are many things, it is alleged, because none of these were adjudicated in a court of law, that she has done outside of even those court cases that we know anything about. We have the police report about the assault on the mother and her sister, so we know for sure that that has happened. Right? Here's what Miss Carol Braggs has posted on social media. Someone sent this to me this morning. It says, I'm deeply saddened this morning as information unfolded over the weekend following the Miss Cayman Universe pageant on Saturday night. The parents that it's just not one incident is now becoming clear, that several things have tainted the character of the winner crowned Saturday night. Whether all that's being said is true or not, it can't be all rumor. And right now, the committee is looking really bad. This should never have happened, and they should be held accountable for putting the country through this type of controversy and what's rapidly becoming a scandal. Many who know me know I've had involvement with past pageants through my girls and has supported the efforts over the years. But these days, it appears that focus is more on quantity, numbers, than on quality. It's better to showcase 4 or 5 smart, qualified girls who 100% deserve to win the title rather than knowingly risk taking a chance on someone with a shady past thinking she might not win. In fact, entry requirements should be stringent enough to prevent this from happening. It saddens me because the Miss Cayman title was always an honorable and prestigious award in the past years, and those who wore the crown were respected and felt proud to do so. Now it's tainted through no fault of the girls. I truly hope that the Miss Cayman International body doesn't disqualify Cayman from participating again. These days, you can't cover up what's already out there in the internet world. Anyone with a criminal conviction pending or otherwise can't get a job, and this would be no different. The scramble to justify the reason tells me that there's no consequences, and Cayman will once again be the sore loser. Someone sent that through this morning. Another person says, the most worrying issue is that Miss Cayman is a role model for her children and also women as a whole. Very disappointed in the Miss Cayman Committee allowing her to participate. Why? The answer should have been, no, you cannot enter such competitions with court matters in progress or previous charges. Why was this a big deal for the committee? No means no at the time. No means no. No, not at this time. The committee should have asked for a police clearance certificate, which they did. And remember now, she has a clean police clearance certificate because 2 previous courts, and at least, I don't know which magistrates they were, decided not to record her convictions. So they did ask for that. And that's the basis on which they say that they had no issue allowing her to participate. Although she was convicted, she was found guilty, but the conviction wasn't recorded, trying to give her multiple 3rd and 4th chances. Good morning. This person says, I think another reason local people find it funny because the woman who was beat up was white. But I mean, you don't know who her other victims are, and they're just painting it with one singular brush. And this person goes on to say, I don't know who she is, but looking at her picture, she doesn't look local to me. So could it be that they find it funny an expat woman's beaten up by a local woman? I don't know either woman really to make any comment on that, so I don't know. This person goes on to say, I hope Derry has at least 2 strong police officers next to her when she has to take back Tiffany's crown. Sandra, why don't you put the contact information for Miss Universe International and CMR for people to write to them about Tiffany Conley and post the charge sheet for this young girl so that people can send it too? And look at how Tiffany's smirking throughout that clip. A lot of people did make some observations about her behavior during the interview. But again, when you're protected, naturally you can sit back and smirk. Someone says she has a black belt. I understand she's a fighter just like her dad, Noel. By the way, and Noel made a comment yesterday. It's so funny because I didn't know at the time that was actually her father. But of course, again, when you get on social media and you start making comments, people do message and have quite a bit to say. So people are like, oh, that's her dad. That's why he's sitting here defending this foolishness. He better be asking himself some real questions, like how did you raise a daughter, if you raised her, that turned out like this? Because the streets are talking that you probably the reason why she's so angry. Maybe she's beating up on the wrong people. Someone else says, good morning. Does she have special defense training and it's gone to her disturbed mind as normal daily use instead of self-defense when absolutely needed? I don't know anything about that. Who created this monster? One of the biggest problems today is people judge the book by the cover and at most a review or 2 and never even take the time required to know what the book is all about. And quite often it does shock you. So quite interesting. Folks, I don't know what more I can possibly say. Miss Dean, Mr. Dean says, if I was a victim, I would set myself free by forgiving and moving on with my life. We all have to answer for our own sin, not the sins of anyone else. Well, you can't dictate, Dean, how a victim should feel. So I'm glad you said that if you were a victim. And it's easy for you to say that until you're actually in the situation and you are the victim. You don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know how you're going to respond. There are some victims who would have, like I said, responded physically to her. And there are other victims who are completely traumatized by this situation and who are, you know, they don't even know what to do. And they're just hoping that the court system will actually get justice for them. So it's easy when you're not the victim to tell victims, oh, you need to hurry up and get over this. And you need to hurry up and move on. Just as really a second chance with charges pending. Come on now, Derry. I expect better from you than that. Cayman Detailing said, I personally don't know this young lady. However, if what is being said is true, this is an embarrassing moment and going to embarrass the Cayman Islands. Anthony, I don't know who keep getting all these overseas calls, child. I don't know if everybody's calling me to wish Gigi a happy birthday today, but Anthony said, so if it was your mother or child a victim, you'd want that for them too. Cameron says, I think this fiasco goes a lot deeper. Well, undoubtedly, people here need psychiatric help and counseling and all sorts of stuff. But trying to cover it up and pretend like, you know, oh, it's just all about second chances just isn't going to cut it. CE Bank says, Derry's still trying to be Miss Cayman. Was she a pageant? Did she win a title? Was she ever Miss Cayman? I don't know. Where is the tourism minister, Kenneth? And and the tourism department sacked them all. Mark says, let it out. Good morning to Debbie. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. So Jonathan says, at the end of the day, even if y'all take her crown, she just might become a bigger star in modeling on her own, because as we all know, any publicity is good publicity. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then we're doing her a favor, but she's still not representing Cayman. It's a matter of principle, you know. It's not about anything personal with this young lady. Like I said, I don't know her or anything of the sort. It has nothing to do with that. This could be anybody in this situation, and my position would be the same. Heaven forbid, if it was even my own daughter. But like I said, I would not have allowed my daughter to run in the competition. I would have been the first one sitting in front of the committee saying disqualify her. And we're trying to get her the mental help that she needs. Andrea says she brought it to their attention. It means that they didn't do any due diligence, checks and balances on these contestants. Yeah, I mean, obviously they say that they didn't know up until a certain point. And I think she brought it to their attention because, again, the court case was coming up, and other people, because I had multiple people sending me the cause list, and they're like, what is this? How is this being allowed? So, so Live says they have blocked the Cayman Islands pageant aficionado on Missology, but Missology is already aware of the situation. I'm not quite sure, Live, I understand what that means. So you're saying that Miss Cayman Islands pageant has been blocked on this what is it called, Missology site? I think, is that linked directly to the pageant, or is that some other site? I don't know. I'm not really that much in the pageant world, to be honest. So I think that's the leading beauty pageant website that covers and analyzes the big five: Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss Earth. So you're saying that website or whatever has blocked Cayman? Oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Oh, I see that they have up. No, I don't. Well, they have up the news that she won. Miss Cayman is right there front and center with today's date, saying Tiffany Conley is Miss Cayman Islands. So I don't think whoever this is has blocked us in any way, shape, or form. I thought, sorry, my apologies for the language this morning. I thought that this was going to say something else, Joe. But no, it's on there. So I'm live. I'm not really sure what that comment means. But there you have it. So they apparently put up pageant news. All right. CI Pierce says it's obvious that Derry was telling the truth when she said that CMR was only running the negative narrative. And then they say, then immediately after Derry said this, all of a sudden a short article is quickly published in CNS. Look at the timeline. Well, you would have to speak to Wendy about it, because CI Pierce, Wendy was aware of it, and she actually had made it clear to me when I spoke to her yesterday that she only thought in her mind that it was a story if she actually won. And so she had, she knows about the situation. In fact, Wendy knows the victims really, really well. She didn't know at the time that those were who the victims were. And, it's a sad situation, but every media house has to decide what they think is news and what they think isn't news. We knew about it, and we talked about it in this program from July the 20th. We didn't do a print story on it at that time, right? Again, trying to give all parties involved the opportunity to set it straight. What is CI Pierce saying? Sandy, you should admit right now if CNS has ever provided you with permission to publish anything under CMS name that can easily be traced back to your device IPs or previously during PPM blocked CMR. Hold on a second, CI Pierce, because today is the day that you're going to get blocked. But before blocking you, let me call Wendy Ledger. Just hold on one second. Because when people question your integrity, Balika, give me 1 second. I'm going to call you back. CI Pierce, I'm going to address you once and for all here today. Because when people have the audacity to question your integrity when defending people like a Tiffany Connolly, right? Who's demonstrated zero integrity, Wendy. And now this person, whoever this fake CI Pierce is, who can't even put up their real name, is trying to essentially say that I somehow have access to publishing stuff on CNS's page. We got a problem. Let me see, Wendy. I'm calling her from the show number, so she may not know this number. Wendy Ledger. I'm going to answer your question for you, CI Pierce, and then we're going to do you the favor of blocking you. So CI Pierce is making the allegation that essentially I had something to do with the CNS story. And that I have access to CNS public, which is utterly stupid. Let me try her from my other phone because she might be busy and she's probably not going to answer if she doesn't know the person. What? What's Wendy's number? We're going to answer that question for you right now, CI Pierce, and then I'm going to do you the favor of blocking you from CMR for good. Hey, Wendy, good morning. That was me calling you from the other number, but I figured you probably were like, I don't know who this is. I'm not answering it. I've got you on air. I wanted to actually bring you in on the board. Can I call you from the other number and have you answer it?
No, I'm about to drive.
Okay, quick question. All right, quick question. This person has said, That it's obvious, this is in relation to Ms. Cayman, that Ms. Derry was telling the truth and that CMR is the only one running the negative narrative. They said that immediately after Derry said this, all of a sudden, a short article was quickly published on CNS. They said, look at the timeline. Sandy, you should admit right now if CNS has ever provided you with permission to publish anything under CNS name that can easily be traced back to your device's IP address or previously during PPM block CMR, has CMS ever provided their media login? Wendy, answer the question. Have you ever provided me with any credentials to be able to log into Cayman News Service and publish anything?
We've never provided you or anyone credentials to log into our website. It's our website. But I don't want to get into the ins and outs of how CNS runs its business on a talk show. I'm working. I've got a lot of stories to track. So another time, but absolutely not. Later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I mean, it's so ridiculous for someone to make that type of allegation. But you see, this is what's happening. Instead of CI peers actually talking about the real issue here, what they do, as I stated yesterday, is they try to deflect. Oh, there must be some conspiracy here between Sandra and CNS. They must be working together. CNS must have given her logins. I'm like, first of all, that's ridiculous, right? Why would CNS need us to have login to their website? Why would we ever need to write anything on their behalf? And they make mention of, oh, when PPM had you blocked. No, the progressives didn't have us blocked. We were writing stories and had relevant breaking news every single day on our platform. What was going on is the progressives tried to block us from getting access to government press conferences, which they never invited us to. They tried to withhold information. As you can see, that never really worked. Because even during the pandemic, we were still breaking news stories and news articles. That, what the restrictions were, whatever, to the point where the progressives themselves were getting upset. CI peers, you're ridiculous. Hear what CI Peers says, but you don't have any talk about people remaining anonymous because you just bought all this equipment for people to remain anonymous. All right, CI Peers, goodbye. Okay, we're going to do you a favor today. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and just block you. Block user. Done. I don't take blocking people lightly. You can believe that. But occasionally it has to be done because you have people out there, again, hiding behind personas and making accusations and telling lies that, just has nothing to do with. So you don't want to address the real issue here? It's all about, it must be me behind CNS as well. Ugh, people are crazy. We do have some guests that are supposed to be coming in. Balika, good morning. Let me just check on our guests to see if they're ready because we're going to switch gears here. Morning. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I think you might have a little bit of background audio there. Let me just try to reconnect the Bluetooth as well. All right. You've got an opinion on something this morning, I'm sure.
I can hear you, though.
Yes, there we go.
Okay, good. Am I on now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thanks, Andy, and thanks for calling me back. Very sad what is going on, and I have missed the earlier part of the show, but it does have some legalities, as you know. At a moral level, this young lady should not be representing Cayman at a moral level. Okay, that's one. Two, also, when you look at the history of the pageant, people have lost their crown for doing half or 1/3 of the things that she was either convicted of or which she's charged with. So we know that for a fact. But what it seems to me is that the committee is not doing a good enough job to explain itself. You see, you can't explain everything on the basis that, everybody needs to be given a second chance. If you are going to apply that to the letter, then nobody will be held accountable, okay? What the court does, for example, if you go out there and you commit a criminal offense, they will accept that you deserve a second chance. what they will do is they'll look at the facts and so on. Maybe they'll give you probation. And then after you serve your probation or maybe a short court sentence, then you will go to jail if you have to. You serve out your sentence, and then after that, after a certain number of years, you can go to the government and ask for expungement of your sentence, to say, I finished my sentence, I've been of good character for 4 or 5 years, depending on the classification of the offense, and then they expunge your sentence, and then that's how you get a second chance. You don't get a second chance by ignoring what you did originally and not being accountable for it. That's not the way it works. Now, what the committee needs to do, and it hasn't done, at least from what I watched, I joined you late, they have to say what the good character requirement of the pageant is. Okay, what does it say? What is a good character defined as? I doubt that she would pass that test, considering that she has 2 convictions and these other charges. But they need to explain what is the good character requirement, what is the wording of it. That is one. 2, they have to say, in light of any apparent good character issues, what are the powers of the committee? Do they have a discretion to allow her to run on a certain basis, or don't they have a discretion? They have to explain that and quote the rule as well. And the reason I say this, quite apart from everything else, is that look at, for example, the current speaker. At a moral level, a lot of people felt that he shouldn't be speaker. But then, when the law has had a say, it turned out that there was nothing in the law preventing him from being speaker. So he is speaker. So we have to separate the legal issue and the moral issue, and the committee really needs to come out and not tell us this BS about the second chances. No, that's not an explanation. Cite the rules and tell us what the good character requirement is, whether this person has met that good character requirement, and secondly, what are your powers in relation to the good character requirement. That way the public will be better informed. That's my thing. And then going forward.
Can I just say one thing about the fact that she had on 2 separate occasions no convictions recorded? And I think yesterday we mentioned the fact that means that she was actually found guilty by a court of law, whether she admitted guilt or was found guilty. It's just that they opted not to record it. The question now that I have in relation to that is, normally when that happens, there is a period of probation that comes with it. Right. So the court can still do other things, like they were ordering her to get counseling and participate in some counseling program that somebody was supposed to be monitoring. Only God knows if that was ever done. But, you know, I wonder what her probation period would have been with those other cases, and whether or not now with this most recent case, if she runs afoul of the probation, and how the court, I mean, we'll have to obviously wait and see how this pans out. But what the court will now have to say and do about the fact that she probably has breached a probation order as well.
Well, exactly. And that will make it even more serious. My history of the pageant, I mean, look, this is something that we all normally just watch in the media, and they say, oh, Miss So-and-so. I remember many, many years ago, Miss Universe from a certain state. I remember the state, but I won't mention it. She was found with, it was a very interesting story, because she went to a restaurant, they dined with some friends after she had won. And then when they left, she forgot her purse there. So when they picked up the purse, when the restaurant picked up the purse, they said, well, look, we don't want to open this purse in case there's some valuables. So they called the police, and the police came in, and so they opened it in front of the police. Lo and behold, there was a joint in it, okay? There was a joint in it. She didn't have to go to court. They said, you were found with a joint, you have been charged. She lost her crown there and then. So that, quite apart from the fact that sometimes, okay, like in this case, there are probation issues, it seems to me that the rules are not that you have to be convicted. And even if the rules say that if you are not convicted, but she was convicted for the 2 of them, because for you to get that kind of probation, that way they don't record, as you have rightly pointed out, Sandy, you have to admit that you did it. In other words, the fact is established, but they said, okay, it's just a small little thing. It's a venial sin. And what my priest would call a venial sin, will let you go, but still you have to meet certain requirements. So to me, in a nutshell, in concluding, the pageant needs to come out and actually cite the rules and tell us what the rules say. I suspect they have broken them, but let them come out clearly and say so.
Yeah.
I thank you this morning.
Let me ask you one other question, right? Have you ever seen a situation before? You know, I don't know how much experience you have in criminal cases, really. I don't know if you did criminal or civil litigation, but have you ever seen a situation?
A little bit way back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a situation where a person got two convictions not recorded by the court? I've actually never seen that. And I kind of wonder why the court did it. I wasn't there in live court, so I can't understand the justification of the judges. And obviously in summary court, there are no extensive notes that are provided. But have you ever seen an individual being given by the court, not once, because normally it's like, okay, you're a first-time offender, you've never been in trouble before. Yes, you're a young person, we're trying to give you a second chance, blah, blah, blah. That's where we see, those opportunities being given. But have you seen it happen more than once?
Well, I used to be a prosecutor many years ago, but to answer your question, I have never seen that. But in addition to that, to me, I think it seems to offend against the principle.
Yeah.
Because the reason why the first time when they say, okay, we know that technically you broke the law, but it's a very small infraction, we'll give you a chance. But the finding has been made that you did this, but we won't record a conviction. Now, if again you do something, surely they can't give you the same, even as a question of good sense. Yeah, consideration a second time again, because they gave you a second chance, you blew it again, So to me, maybe there is nothing in the law which specifically says that they can give you a second chance in that way. But if I were writing those sentencing guidelines, they are not the law, but they are guidelines judges follow. I would say that a person who was given a first chance initially with no conviction recorded, if they come back again, they should not enjoy that same thing, because then where does it stop? Then there is no accountability. At that point, you are crossing the line. You are not trying to give people a second chance. You've already given them a second chance. They have blown it. They are now asking for a third chance. No. I've never seen that, and I think it offends against the principle.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the court does this time. There's some people who believe, and as a lawyer, I'd like your opinion on this. There's some people who believe that the committee has also now put the courts in a very uncomfortable position. Because of who she is, the courts might feel some sort of pressure to not give the victims full justice and not really consider her record of being a third-time offender before them over a number of years now. Because she is crowned a Miss Cayman. So do you think, from your legal experience again, that the fact that she is Cayman will have any bearing on whatever magistrate will get this case and have to dole out a sentence?
Well, the questions you are raising, I didn't even think of that, but now that you raise it, it is very important because, one, because she is now a celebrity, obviously that does affect what happens when you go to court. And my problem with it, now that you've raised it, is that probably this was her way of saying, let me run in the pageant. Maybe if I win, I'll become a celebrity, and then the court will be put in a difficult position about what to do with me. So it looks like she might have even done it as a strategy to deal with a criminal law. And if I were a judge, I would say, young lady, if she is convicted, I'll say, young lady, you maybe, just in case you thought that running in the pageant was going to get you off, I will sentence you according to the book. Because otherwise, then it makes other people believe that, you see, while they are having these charges, that, they can, if they can become a celebrity meanwhile, then they can escape full responsibility. All those issues, Sandy, are very, very important. People need to discuss them. But first of all, this committee needs to tell us what the rules are.
Very good. Thank you so much.
I thank you this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you. So always some salient points there from Mr. Balika. Someone is asking, who is this caller? He's very well spoken and very intelligent. Please send him my compliments. So he is an attorney at law. I believe he's currently in Canada. But yes, he did live here in the Cayman Islands. And I think at some point he might have worked for, I may get it wrong, but he worked for somewhere in the Attorney General's office, whether it was the DPP's office or on the civil side. So can a sitting judge be sued? Sued by whom and about what? I guess is the question. And then going back to Eden's question earlier, and we are waiting to see if our guests are going to be joining us here in a second. Going back to Eden's question, which is about one of the judges. Yes, we do have a judge in the pageant who is convicted of very serious offenses against women as well. You know, I said it before, and in my opinion, what it does is it highlights really the it highlights perhaps the poor decision making on the part of the Miss Cayman contestants, Miss Cayman Committee. So I'm going to try to see if I can find what some of those charges are. There are a number of them, I can assure you. And it includes, since we're going to talk about it here, driving under the influence, using a vehicle with expired license, common assault, causing fear, provocation of violence, intentional harassment, alarm, and distress, leaving the scene of an accident, driving without insurance again, driving without being licensed, and those were the ones from 2018. And I want to say that probably last year was when those were dealt with. So sometimes it takes a minute for these things to go through the judicial system. But yeah, there you have it. And this person was chosen as a judge to judge these contestants. So who knows? Maybe that's one of the reasons why, you know, the decision came out the way that it did, because there are people who are judges who are sitting there who know of what this young lady has done in her past and what she's currently in court for, and they simply don't care because they do something similar or worse. Let's go ahead and take our morning news break, folks. All I can say is it's a sad situation. It's even sadder that one or two people, and trust me, the majority of people in this country are good, upstanding, moral people, and they see the wrong here with the question. You know, one person says her friend Rianne Wright is saying Tiffany is harmless as a fly. Well, she's not harmless as a fly to the people that she's assaulted, Rianne. So the people that she's bitten, kicked in the groin, punched multiple times in the faces, including police officers, broken their glasses, damaged their vehicles. I'd like for you to answer to this question, that if she had done those things to you, you say that she is your friend. What would you be feeling, and how would you think about it? Rianne also says, if she never won, no one would have known anything about this. Well, that's not true, because again, if you go back to the CMR website, we have been reporting on Tiffany from 4 years ago, August of 2018. So I don't mind people having an opinion, but again, when you get on the platform and you come out with a particular perspective of, oh, these are the facts and this is what happened, and no one has ever reported on her, that's just not correct. She has been reported on. And these assaults, which eventually she was convicted of, were also reported on as well. So, you know, Rianne, it's all there. So now she says, anyways, you can say what you want. You never sat and chat with her before. Chat with her? Well, we're not doing that now. So just go back on the website, just Google her name. All right, folks, here's your news break. Well, I'm going to check on our guests to see if they're going to be joining us. Sometimes guests are like, oh, when that topic is hot, child, you continue with that. And they may be feeling that way again today. They're supposed to come on. Oh, wait a minute. No, I think I got my days mixed up, though. No, I think it's Wednesday that they're coming. Oh, my bad. Oh, good. Oh, that's totally on me. Made a mistake there. Now, that's a definition of a mistake. Purposely doing something, beating people up, is not a mistake. I had the wrong date. Good. They're coming on tomorrow. That works even better, because tomorrow we'll be highlighting a Caymanian business owner in the construction business who's taken advantage of his workers. They're getting evicted from their home because of his actions. So y'all don't miss tomorrow's show. In any event, here is your news headlines brought to you by Kevin Watler.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. A 20-year-old woman was pronounced dead while 3 others were injured, with 2 in serious condition following a fatal single-vehicle collision on Eastern Avenue early Monday morning. The crash happened shortly before 3:40 in the morning on Eastern Avenue near Shedden Road, involving a white Honda Accord. The south end of Eastern Avenue between Shedden Road and Champion House Restaurant was temporarily closed while police investigated. Another man who was wanted for murder in Jamaica was arrested by the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. 27-year-old Neville Peter Butler was arrested along with 3 other Jamaican men. Police say Butler is believed to be the person who fled the scene on July 8th when another Jamaican fugitive, Rudolph Shaw, was arrested. On Saturday, August 6th, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service officers stopped a vehicle while conducting a proactive operation in the vicinity of Badamani Road in West Bay. As the vehicle stopped, officers observed one of the occupants throw a package from the vehicle that contained suspected ganja. All 4 occupants were arrested on suspicion of possession of ganja. The officers established that 3 of the occupants, ages 27, 29, and again 29, are Jamaican nationals on the island illegally. The 3 were additionally arrested on suspicion of illegal landing. The 4th man, who is 34 years old, is a work permit holder. Law enforcement partners in Jamaica have been notified, and all 4 men remain in custody as investigations continue. Police continue to look for Luisto Eusebio Hernandez in relation to firearm offenses. He is considered armed and dangerous and should not be approached. If seen, call 911 immediately. The search is still on for 2 missing men. 53-year-old Noel Paul Manning has been missing since June 24th, and 26-year-old Adrian Williamson has been missing since July 6th. Now you are asked to contact your nearest police station if you see them. Anonymous tips can be provided directly to the RCIPS via their confidential tip line at 949-7777 or via their website. The trial of former Cayman Island Football Association executives Canaver Watson and Bruce Blake began last Friday, August 5th. Watson, the former treasurer of CIFA, stole US $1.54 million from CONCACAF, and former vice president of CIFA Bruce Blake helped him to launder his money, the court heard during the opening of the trial. Both men were initially arrested in 2017 and charged in 2019, and they pleaded not guilty to 8 charges in 2021. The charges include engaging in secret commission contracts, transferring criminal property, entering into an arrangement contrary to the proceeds of crime law, and false accounting. Watson reportedly set up the company Forward Sports International Management, which shared a similar name to a company that had an existing relationship with CONCACAF, and then used his company to issue 3 fake invoices amounting to the stolen funds for sports equipment. Approximately $600,000 of the money was allegedly used to pay down a CIFA loan from Fidelity Bank, while Watson received other funds through companies he controlled. The money was also used to pay his credit card bills. About $300,000 was used to buy genuine sports equipment after CONCACAF officials raised questions about the items that were ordered using the invoices. The jury trial is expected to be a very lengthy one, possibly over 2 months. The newly crowned Miss Cayman Islands Universe, Tiffany Leanne Connolly, has 6 criminal charges in summary court, including striking a police officer twice in the face at the detention center. The charges were laid against her in January this year and have left the Miss Cayman Committee chair, Derry Lee Dakers, defending her in an interview Monday morning. The 24-year-old beauty queen faces 6 charges, including 2 counts of common assaults. The committee chair says that both the committee and the government ministry stand behind Connolly. She claims it's only one platform pushing that negative narrative. Right now, however, other media in the Cayman Islands have reported on it. Tiffany is no stranger to the courts, and many are now wondering if she will be permitted to hold onto the crown if found guilty. Prior to this, Connolly was found guilty in 2 separate cases. In February 2018, she was in court for damage to property, carrying an offensive weapon, and criminal trespass. That resulted in her being found guilty, but no conviction was recorded for her. Again, 1 year later in February 2019, she was back in court for resisting a police officer and assaulting several police officers by kicking them in the groin. These charges stem from an incident at her mother's home where both her mother and sister were assaulted. However, they declined to press any charges against her. Her family told the police officers that it was all about her boyfriend breaking up with her, and she went berserk. Again, the court opted not to record her conviction, but did require her to attend counseling. For the latest court matter, that trial is set for October 17th after a postponement 2 weeks ago. More information on each of these stories can be found at caymanmallroad.com. Now for your CMR weather update, it's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:04, expect scattered thunderstorms. The temperature rises to the high 80s, but it will feel hotter than that. When the high temperature is at 87 degrees Fahrenheit and the relative humidity is at 76%, like the forecast calls for, the temperature will feel around 102 degrees Fahrenheit. The winds will be east-southeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour, and then the sun sets at 6:57. When it cools at nighttime, the temperature falls to the low 80s. Looking forward, keep an umbrella or raincoat with you. Remember, it's summertime, so those hot days, warm nights with scattered showers are very typical for this time of year. CMR weather updates are brought to you by WG Charters. They offer private boat trips for a great price, so we encourage you to support them. Now for some regional and international news. Former President Donald Trump said on Monday that the FBI searched his Palm Beach, Florida home and had broken into a safe, an account signaling a dramatic escalation in the various investigations into the final stages of his presidency. The search, according to multiple people familiar with the investigation, appeared to be focused on material that Mr. Trump had brought with him to Mar-a-Lago, his private club and residence, when he left the White House. According to media reports, the boxes contained many pages of classified documents, according to a person familiar with their contents. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Friday appointed Palm Beach County Judge Renita Francis to the Florida Supreme Court. The Republican governor announced Francis's appointment to the conservative-controlled Supreme Court at a news conference in West Palm Beach. Francis is scheduled to join the court on September 1st, replacing a retiring justice. Francis was born in Jamaica. She operated a bar and trucking company in Jamaica before moving to the United States as an adult and working her way through law school. She has been a judge in Palm Beach County since 2019 and was previously a judge at the Miami-Dade County Court. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thanks for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
All right, folks. Thanks, Kevin, for our daily news briefs. Just trying to get a situation here in the background sorted out. But yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. So Miss Ruby is still here. Miss Ruby. So Dean says maybe the court case has now been prejudiced too because of social media. Well, judges and magistrates, I can tell you, do a very, very good job of not being on social media, and they don't tend to even have social media accounts. They don't read any of that stuff. I've heard them on numerous occasions saying that there seems to be some sort of directive that is issued to them where they don't get involved in certain things in the community. On the other hand, Dean, what that tends to do is a lot of times people go to court and they paint a very, very specific picture through their defense attorneys of who they are. And the courts fall for it hook, line, and sinker and don't have a clue, right? Because they paint their story, and the prosecution, I can tell you from experience, does a really poor job of countering that. So the prosecution, they get the victim impact statement, and that's normally what the courts are allowed to go by, what the victims say. And they have to balance that. So in all things, the court have to undertake what's called a balancing exercise. So they can't give a victim impact statement too much weight because, victims, some victims might be a little bit more traumatized than others. And so the court always takes it into consideration. And then they also take into consideration normally the chances of someone reoffending. So the SIR, oh God, what does SIR stand for again? Sometimes I forget what these acronyms are for. The impact report, the social inquiry report, that's what it is, SIR. So the courts will also request an SIR, which includes the victim's impact statement. And that then gives them what they believe is a fuller picture, because, you know, you sit down with a social worker and they'll ask you questions about your childhood and who you are and what you've been up to and whatever. And they try to ascertain your likelihood of reoffending, which is something that the court takes very, very seriously, as well as your past record and your past behavior and so on. So undoubtedly, the court will hear that she is, you know, she is now the Miss Cayman, and I'm sure her attorney and whoever else on her behalf will be putting forward this perspective that she's turned over a new leaf, and so all should be forgiven and forgotten for the third time in court. Whether or not the magistrate falls for that will be something we would all be making some observations on, regardless. So Ruby and others are saying open invite to Tiffany. Yes, I mean, listen, we, like I said, in all fairness, before the publication, and again, to CI Pierre's point, we could have published a story from Saturday night. We instead contacted the Miss Cayman Committee via email, asking them for a request, and gave them days really to respond, and they did not come back with anything, despite the fact that they answered some 12 hours later, claiming that they would be responding. So we see a certain degree of professionalism even in how they are handling media situations. So we messaged them on, it would have been Saturday night or early Sunday morning, requesting, again, a comment, and they took 12 hours to just respond to that initial email, at which they came back and then said, oh, yes, we will get back to you very soon, and soon never came. So instead, they've gone another media, trying to make it look like we're anti-Miss Cayman, we're anti this young lady, or whatever the case may be. So, which really isn't the case. All right, caller, good morning, and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm grateful, and good morning to all your listeners and your writers.
Yes.
I'm listening with great interest here. I didn't catch your show live yesterday, but I did listen to it afterwards, so I, was able to grasp what was going on. And I'm not saying that anything that I will say is going to make anyone feel better or change the situation. As the old people used to say, the cow's already out the fence. But I speak from a position of experience, many, many years of experience. I served on the Miss Cayman Committee for probably 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I even saw another person who's listening that served at the same time, or some of the years that I served as well. And I don't know who any of the current committee members are. And I know that you called the name this morning. I won't repeat the name, but I think everyone heard the name. But this is what I'd like to say. And because I find this rather troubling. As a person with morals and principles myself, first of all, we don't like drawing people's children into things, but I can bring my own into it. I am the mother of a daughter. And I remember that during my tenure with the committee, my daughter was crowned Miss Teen. And I got familiar then with the requirements and the rules of Miss Teen. And also, after her reign with Miss Teen, she felt like she wanted to enter Miss Cayman, which would have been a conflict because I was a member of the committee. And this is something we had discussed. And I said, if you ever want to do that, you have to give me a year's notice, because then I have to step down. At that time, make it be known public because we don't want the appearance of any kind of favoritism. So when that time came, and these are our children, and we have to say to them what is truthful, but we say it in the best way, because we as parents don't want to destroy our children either. But at that time, and I hope my daughter's not listening because then she'll come kill me. not literally, but you know, she'll have my guts for garters. But anyway, but at that time, my daughter had gained some weight. And personally, I didn't feel that physically she was her best self. She had everything else. She was a natural beauty queen, and which is wasn't just said by me, but the entire island. And so in the nicest way, I just said to my daughter, no, I don't think this is the right time for you to enter. And besides, you did not give me enough notice. I don't have a year to step down and make that public and so on. So I think what you need to do is hold off and you wait until next pageant. And if you're still serious about entering, you tell me so I can already step down from the committee and the whole public will know that, because we don't want a bad image now, or I wouldn't want to spread a bad image on the committee. And I'm going to call some names here because I think it's important to know the caliber of people we had serving on the committee back then. And Charles Gifford, who is now the director, I think, if that's the correct title, of CBC, because he worked in the Ministry of Tourism at the time, and he is an attorney. And I had already discussed this with him and the then Minister of Tourism. And they both knew my daughter, and they felt that that was the right thing for me to do. Besides, it was the policy that no committee's child could enter. So they both felt that was the right thing for me to do. And whenever that time came, just let them know. And I wouldn't have to resign completely, but, you know, take a leave of absence. And then, like I said, but my main reason for it was because I felt that my daughter wasn't ready at that time. And that had nothing to do with a pending charge and any kind of allegations or any kind of hidden criminal record or erased criminal record. I say that to say, we as parents have a responsibility for our children to be truthful. And then when your daughter then wants to represent your country, and they've come to a body of people, they too have rules and regulations and morals that need to be adhered to. I can think of other girls, and I would never call their names, who were not allowed to enter because after their applications had been submitted and accepted, things were discovered about them. And the way that was handled is that you had a private meeting with them. If they wanted to bring a parent or both parents in, that was okay, but they were told why. They were not able to enter because that was a permanent scheme. In this case, this is my opinion, and obviously the opinion of many, but just to clear Cayman Road, not the opinion of the show. Had I been a committee member, and I could have been a lone wolf on this, but I was going to stand my ground. What I would have done, especially with everything coming out in the open, and back then we didn't have the benefit of social media, I would have had a meeting with the girl, her family, if they all wanted to come, and present her with what is now facts as we know it to be, a court record and pending charges, and say, we're sorry, but, you know, we do understand at this point you have a clean police record, that's fine, but you have these charges pending. And we cannot allow you to enter the pageant until the courts have dealt with these matters, and depending on the outcome, if you want to come back for the next pageant, we'd be happy to have you. But in the meantime, you're going to have to maintain a certain level of principles in your life. Your character is going to have to be reproachable, and perhaps even have, like a senior police officer, assuming that someone would have been monitoring, what had been asked to be done in the past, to say, yes, she's kept up her end of the bargain. There is an international body that governs every pageant, every country. They have the right, and they've done it before, and the authority to disqualify not a girl, but a country. And I want that to sink in. There were other instances where the reigning or the crowned winner did not represent, but the first runner-up had to go. Those reasons were never made public. And have social media back then. So what is happening here? While I don't know her parents, I don't know her. I don't even watch the pageants anymore, to be honest with you. I just get caught up in my own life. This is a very, very sad tale. It's an ugly message to be sending to our females, and especially in a climate where there's so much domestic violence that is not being paid attention to. The committee needs to rethink their position here. And I would now call on the Minister of Tourism, since he was included, or the entire ministry was included in giving this their blessing. I would personally call upon the Minister of Tourism to issue a statement. I am hoping and presuming that there are meetings being held, and I'm hoping that's happening, and maybe this matter could be put to rest. Now, no one wants to be crowned and then stripped of their crown.
I know. That would be horrible.
But as I said earlier, this is why when you have aspirations, you groom yourself towards those aspirations, and then you don't do anything that could step in the way of those things. And if Miss Cayman is any girl's aspiration, take a lesson from what has happened here, because even if you end up with the crown and your country's not supporting you, that's not a good feeling either. That has happened before, and not because the girl committed any criminal act, just simply because the crowd wasn't pleased that that girl was the winner.
Right.
So the committee has a very, very strong responsibility to speak to the public and in educating them. What's the criteria? Why did we make this decision? Because you cannot allow it to happen with the assumption she will not win. That's absolute nonsense. As they say, any card can play.
Yes, that's true.
And
same thing with politicians too, if I might say, because some people say, oh yeah, I voted for that person, but I never expected them to be a minister because they're not ministerial.
Exactly.
They're not ministerial material. And I say, but that's not how it works.
Exactly. Or because you felt they wouldn't get another vote. Because I've heard that too.
Yeah.
But just to follow up further on this, because this is the part now that I find rather disturbing. And I want to be very careful what words I use here, because I don't want to be sued or come after, because I wouldn't be as fortunate to have my record expunged immediately. I'm sure about that. But now that the charges are already pending, so we know that they're pending court dates or trials. Now, what I would like to know, and I'm sure perhaps this will now give everybody something else to think about. Do you think these cases are going to be heard as long as she's remaining?
Well, the judiciary has to be fair and impartial, and if they can take a sitting Speaker of the House, a sitting leader of this country to court and through a trial, I don't see what would make a Miss Cayman any more or less special than that individual. So before the court, we expect to see The trial date has now been set for, I think it's October the 7th. It was postponed a few weeks ago because one of the police officers was unavailable. I mean, the sad thing is like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the victims have been watching this situation and they have now been put in an uncomfortable position where people are demanding certain things of them. I mean, with all due respect, Ms. Charlene has just said, well, we need to hear from each victim's personal in-depth stories as to what that, as one that knows Tiffany on a personal level, I find that whatever transpired to initiate her response also is of relevant importance. So I feel like now we've moved into the realm of demanding from the victims an explanation of why they're a victim. And what I would like to say from Miss Charlene to Miss Charlene, since she just posted that comment, is what you should do, since you know Tiffany so well, is ask her mother and her sister, why did Tiffany beat their asses too? Because they were also victims, but they were victims who have decided to remain silent. I feel very, very perturbed. I mean, excuse me this morning, but I feel very perturbed when people try to blame victims and demand of victims. So why were you there? Why did you date Tiffany? Why did you break up her? Nothing that a victim has done deserves for them to be bitten, kicked in the groin, boxed in the face, all these things. Remember, Miss Charlene, police officers have also been her victims. So ask yourself or ask the police officers, what did they do other than do their jobs and arrested her? I really take insult when people are asking for victims to defend being a victim.
Sandra, if I could jump in here at this point, to ask her victims to explain whatever it is you're asking them to do is to further victimize them.
Exactly. They will do that in a court of law. They will provide a victim impact statement.
Yeah, and that is usually in writing. But to ask them to come forward when they're probably already trying to deal with the trauma of what has happened to them, because that is a long-lasting effect.
Absolutely.
I don't have to ask anyone that. They don't have to sit with them when they're going through an episode of panic attack or anxiety. And some people never get past that.
That's
so
right.
To ask the victim to get up here and try to level this playing field, I'm sorry, I'm starting to get angry now.
Yes.
Because that is just so wrong. And I'm sure that your writer or your caller didn't mean it that way. That you have to be careful what you're asking of these people. You know, they say to whom much is given, much is expected. So when the committee was given much, we, the people, not the minister, we, the people, expect much from them also.
And we actually had a victim yesterday. I've read some of the comments that the victims have sent through. We had a victim send a voice note, which we played on this program. As most people know,
I heard it.
For a victim to even do that is amazing for them to step forward in that way. So for people to think that I'm going to bring them on this show with a view for people to further try to victimize them or to be grilling them, that's not going to happen. And as one victim said, that was the worst 10 minutes of his entire life. You know, I think that we have lost the plot when we're sitting here looking at, here we have one individual who has committed serious assaults against multiple people, right? I mean, we're now talking about upwards of 10 people between all the different police officers, the individual, the girl, this time the father, the son, the police, the two police officers, the incident before, multiple police officers getting kicked in the groin, being punched, her sister, her mother. It's like 10 people. And you're asking what this morning to invite the victims on so we can hear what they did to deserve this, basically. Like, what did you do before she lost control? That's not where this narrative should be going.
It's like when the husband beat his wife and afterwards he looks at her and he says, you see what you made me do?
And Denny has a question here. He says the question has to be asked, if she did not win, would we be having this conversation? Well, Denny,
yes, the conversation would have
the conversation already had. The conversation was already had. We had the conversation from July 20th. Go back. So we already had the conversation.
And that person is missing the point. The point
exactly.
is she's now crowned.
Exactly. And
She is
that
now your
is important.
ambassador. She's now the face of your country.
Right.
She's now going to mix if she is allowed to go to the international pageant. She will now interact with like 100 other girls from other countries.
Just pause for one quick second. I'm just gonna accept. I'm just gonna pull in another caller. Just one. I'm gonna keep you on the line, so just hold on. Good morning, callers. I've got both you and the previous caller on the line. I mean, to the previous caller, someone has said, you know, that you're making so much sense here this morning. They said that you're a national treasure. Zambula says she can represent Cayman, but not overseas. So who cares if or about her? Damien says, or if a woman was raped, people are so insensitive. So, you know, I know the other caller on this line is also a woman. I'll give her an opportunity, but I want to ask both of you this morning, as well as our listeners, what is it about women being the perpetrators of violence that we cannot accept? You know, I know we have this perception of women being nurturers and we're mothers and we're all supposed to be really loving and whatever, but clearly there are women who are capable of just as much violence, sometimes if not more, than some of their male counterparts. But women get a very different treatment when they are the perpetrators. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm very, very interested about how, as a community, not just here in the Cayman Islands, but the world over, we can't seem to come to grasp with when a woman is the one who is the violent individual. The woman is the one who's going around assaulting people and beating people up. Callers. Uh-oh, hold on. I think 1 second. Sorry, we lost the feed. There we go. Hi, callers.
Yes.
Yes, there we go. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Any thoughts on women as the perpetrators of violence, and why is it that, you know, we don't seem to?
I can answer that question really, really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't have made this call this morning if I wasn't speaking from a position of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Women are just, and it is an equal illness that causes people to rise to the level of physical violence. And even worse, when there is no remorse shown. Because when you get the utterance, you caused me to do it, or if you didn't do this, I wouldn't have done that.
Right.
Case closed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Case closed. You then need to start looking inside the brain to find out what is going on here. There could be bipolar, there could be schizophrenia, there could be manic, whatever that other thing is, several things. Because they're usually the things that's happening. And they don't manifest till a certain age. And the Bible tells us, hell has no fury like a woman's scorn. And we have heard and we have known about women attacking women over one man. It's not violent. What gives you the right to come to fight me because you're dating the same guy? Not that I support violence, but if you thought it out properly, then the two of us will get together and beat him for deceiving both of us. But the woman will always go and fight the other woman.
Yeah,
that is violence also.
Yes.
And it doesn't make it any less a crime because it's a woman doing it. You've had lots of women who are violent, even to their husbands or their partners. But people don't seem to see the same because we're supposed to be the weaker of the two sexes.
Right.
But it is still a crime.
Yes.
It is still wrong.
And I got to tell you that apparently some women have skills that, you know, that defy, they're not weak at all. They might look small and whatever, but from what the victims themselves have shared, this is not to be taken lightly just because it was a woman doing it.
No form of attack of violence is to be taken lightly. You know, a person does not have to physically assault you to hurt you. Because once there's a fear factor, the trauma has already set in. And all I'm going to say this morning, and I will leave you to your other listeners and writers, because I'm sure they don't want to be listening to me. But what I would say this morning to any mother of a daughter, regardless of her age, because you don't know, she could be 5 or 10 at this time. And perhaps in another 5 years, she may come and say, Mommy, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to enter Miss Teen, or I'd like to be Miss Cayman one day. Well, if you're okay with that, because not all parents are okay with their children in pageants, but if you're okay with that, then help groom your daughter, assuming you're already doing a good job, but keep working on that. Most of all, keep educating her of what is required to hold such a prestigious title, because you then have to separate her from ordinary girls. First of all, you start instilling that you can't be seen out doing this. You know, you have to have a curfew. That's the other thing. There are curfews and so on. I forgot to make that point, but I'll come back to that. So I would say to them, and if you, as a parent, recognize that your child is already displaying any kind of issues, whether they're anger issues, suicidal issues, whatever, that is when you need to seriously get involved. You cannot pretend these things are not happening or that they will pass, because you're not doing your child any justice.
Yes.
But that was the curfew thing was another thing that crossed my mind. What happens when you're told there's a curfew? Bedtime is 10 o'clock. How are you going to handle that? Are you going to beat up somebody because they say it's curfew? I would like to hear from this committee to address the country, and since they have involved the minister and the ministry, we need to hear from the minister also. And that way, it will put the matter to rest. If he in fact supports this and he's okay with this landing in his lap, because she will reign for a year. Sometimes they're asked to stay on, depending on the circumstances. So all of that needs to be thought out. And the requisite form of dinosaur, it now needs to change. It needs to change continuously with the time. That form was done long before social media was around. It should be updated as time goes on. At least do it once a year.
Yes.
And I don't pretend to have the answers to everything, but when I served on the committee, I did it with highly professional people I have a lot of respect for. Of course, you're not going to get on with every single member, but at the same time, you had people, you know, that you could look up to, and you could always go to them. If you weren't sure about something, you ask the question, and you get sound advice from them, and you moved on. So, like I said, I'm going to leave it to your listeners and your writers. And
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. We do have 2 other callers who are also on the line. So we have Miss Charlene, who's up next. Miss Charlene, what are your thoughts today?
I you mentioned the name Charlene, but that wasn't it. That I called this morning, Mar Road. I was trying to call him, but I didn't make the final hook up.
Okay.
Anyway,
you're live and direct now.
Yeah, somebody with a name like mine, but not me. I guess so. That caller, last caller, always like to hear from her. Salient points, always so well thought out. You could do your legal brief, girl. Anyway, she mentioned a phrase here, such a prestigious title. And really that's what we should all be focusing on. Like she said, families, everybody knows who's pretty enough to make a run at the title, and you know. So it just for public consumption this morning, I find that so, you know, down to earth that everybody can understand and should understand. It's such a prestigious title that, yeah, young ladies, families, community, church, school, yeah, work toward the goal. And like she said, grooming. And another question awarded, and I don't want to take you off your things here that you're going on, but the power outage. Could you find out about that for us for tomorrow morning?
Yes, I did have
I don't know why I was so apprehensive last night, but I want to tell CUC, I'm not that kind of person. I don't scare easily. And it's not that I was afraid, I was just very apprehensive because it seemed to last forever. And it seemed to be what I would consider to be a rolling outage. I was not tizzy down here, believe me. So if it was something planned, I'm almost sure they would have let us know. So I don't know. I really don't know. But, they're always good. I mean, they know how to pick the pocket, but you can't complain about the service they offer. So when there's an outage, it's quickly fixed, unless it cannot be quickly fixed. And I'm down here with 2 outages because it's been out, it came back on, and then it went out again. So I'm just concerned as what was happening. Like I said, I don't know why I was so anxious. I just didn't want the power to be off last night. Thank God I had bought a flashlight a couple days before, so I had no one cell. That actually going on. But you asked about the lawyer gentleman with the brain. Wasn't he a legal draftsman?
I'll have to double check. I think that might have been one of his roles. That's entirely possible. Yes.
Yeah, I think he was a legal draftsman.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have a nice day, nice show. Tell me what happened to CUC then.
Okay, we'll get some information from them.
The pressure went right up.
Oh gosh.
Bye.
All right, my dear. All right, Mr. Caller, you've been holding patiently. What's on your mind today?
That's not a problem, Sandy. It's kind of hard to follow the chain behind those 2 young ladies there. One quick thing, they say that this lady was charged or had 6 offenses, right? There's an irony to how things play out different between women and men or anybody else. You notice that when most people go apply for a job, and you've heard this and you've talked about this before, when most Caymanians go apply for a job, if they have any charges pending, they never get a call back. Okay? If you're working for a company and you get charged any offense, criminal offense, you're suspended until those charges are dropped or whatever the case may be. So I have a daughter who is now 15 years old or going on to be 16. And she looked at me 7 months ago and she knows how strict I am. And she says, Dad, I want to become Miss Teen. True story. And, I want to go for Miss Teen. And I'm like, okay, well, if you get your grades up, talk to me next year, which would have been this year. Her grades went up. She started going track and field, started, getting sponsorship for track and field and doing really well. So she revisited me again in March, luckily enough before my birthday, and says that, I'm still thinking about this day. And I'm like, well, I know you talked about it and your grades are going good. I think that you should go for it. So she's all excited and this and that and whatever the case may be. Now, a couple of days later, she comes back to me and goes, I don't think I'm going to go for it again. I said, why? This is what you worked for. She said, well, it looks like this situation looks like anybody could get into it because I worked so hard to get this, and now anybody could get into it, meaning the situation. And she's 15 years old who pushed herself, like literally pushed herself, going track and field every day. And she doesn't come out of her house when she comes home from school. We calls her the vampire. But now vampire, because she does not come out of her room. And she stays in her room, she studies her books and does everything that she needs to do just to get her standards up. And now she looks at me and goes, no, Dad, I'm not going to go into it again because anybody could get there. And it really bothered me. It really got to me to the fact that my 15-year-old daughter was that upset. And I gave her a standard, and we all knew a standard of this situation. Yes, we talk about second chances, and I've had my second chances, whatever. But when you did something 6 times, seriously, to 10 different people, they always have a saying, if it's one time it happened, it could have been that person. If somebody say something about you, Sandy, okay, it could have been that one person. But 10 people saying the same thing about you, it got to be you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what happens now is this person goes off to United States or goes somewhere else, and they're in the green room, and somebody says something wrong to her, and it kicks off a fight. God forbid it should go after the wrong person. You understand what I'm saying? That's where it will, judges say something wrong. And, we've had people, there have been people in the U.S. who have committed crimes just to become a pageant, right? And they have got kicked out, right? So, for example, she go and say something to the wrong person, then what they're going to say, oh, well, we didn't know she was going to be like that. You have 10 signs. Think about it. I'm not going to call no names, but think about a former person who we all know who defended a woman's rights, who was getting beat up in the club and defended them. And they were defending, and they got kicked out from where they were at. You understand? They were defending someone for being beaten up and fought the person off, and they got fired from where they were at or got kicked out from what position they were in. And this is right. And Sandy, we all know. So at the end of the day, it's like you're going to have to, like I said in your comment the other day, today, there have to be a book on this. And it's going to be, the book is going to call, and I'm going to copyright it from now, Crime for Crown. Done. Because this is, my 15-year-old daughter just looked at me, and it hurt me this morning.
That's sad.
When she came to me this weekend and said she's not going to go into it. She'd give up.
Wow.
So I just leave you with that.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller, for that. So it's sad to hear that what she should be doing, which is encouraging young people, just isn't what's happening at all. We'll be ending the show. We got a little bit into overtime. If you're listening on the radio, big shout out to Chuck Taylor over at Bobo 89.1 FM, DMS station, listening to the show this morning. He said, I can see you're going to need a little bit of overtime, Sandy. I said, thank you, Chuck. So wanted to read a few more comments, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. So someone sent this list of people in the U.S. alone, and I'm sure this is a very short list because we've seen many more. Women who have been stripped of their crown, dating all the way back, this one to 1957, somebody lying about their age. And listen to Miss World of 1973. Her crown got stripped for dating 2 men at once. Imagine that. My gosh. Dating, not necessarily even sleeping with. Just dating 2 men at once, and they stripped her crown. Miss America 1984, naked pictures. Of course, we know who that is. The beautiful Vanessa Williams, who went on to have a phenomenal musical and acting career. Miss Universe 2002, too busy to keep up with her schedule, so they took the crown. Miss Nevada 2007, flashing the camera. Y'all know what that means. She lost her crown. Miss New Jersey 2007, expecting a child. She lost it. Miss Louisiana Teen 2008, possession of marijuana. 2009, Miss USA, nude pictures. Miss Puerto Rico Universe, it doesn't say what year this one was, but exhibiting a bad behavior or bad attitude. Wow. So clearly some other pageants around the world definitely have more stringent requirements than Cayman is all I can tell you, honey. Jill. Now, I saw this very interesting comment on social media. So Megan, big shout out to Megan. She's a mother of a couple girls, I believe. And Megan says, after 6 months of training and being publicized all over Cayman, crickets from the haters, 2 seconds after winning the crown, boom, empty barrels start banging. She had 23 people like that. And this was our response to her, which I think is very interesting because, again, people seem to think that this is about Tiffany. And as much as as you think it's about Tiffany, you need to look at the broader issues here and remove who she is, because we don't know this young lady. We have no reason to hate on her. I don't know who her mama is. I don't know who her daddy is. As you guys could see, he was all up in the comment section yesterday, and I didn't even know who he was. It was you guys messaging me, oh, this Noel fella is her dad. I'm like, okay, whoever the hell he is. And then y'all like, yeah, remember the man who went off on those women at the beach and attacked those women? That's his brother. I'm like, listen, I don't know the man. Oh, and his wife is a police officer of 30 years. I still don't know him. I don't know these people. So it's not about Tiffany in that sense, right? No one here is hating on Tiffany. I don't know her. To me, it doesn't matter who she is. So this was a response to Megan. She says, first of all, she had a rethink of her position after continuing to read. So she says, I just read the updated article in CMR2 that gave the details, and I'm saddened and disappointed because it all had first seemed to me that it was just Cayman bad mind. But as a mom of all daughters, I was trying to remember if she had all daughters, yeah. And they all compete in pageants. I really do not want them modeling that kind of behavior and attitude while still thinking that they deserve awards and recognition. If the charges were 5+ years ago and a person has been living unblemished since, that is one thing. But boy, I still feel very hurt for the young woman, but I also feel sympathy for the other women of great character who did not get crowned because the committee did not have stricter standards. And the interesting thing about this is when Megan, had a fuller view of what was going on and changed her opinion, it went from 23 people liking it to not a single person. So for those of you who believe that it is easy to get up and to talk about these issues in a community as small as Cayman, in a community where clearly we support a lot of wrongdoing, we're happy to turn a blind eye. If this is not the perfect example of what I was saying yesterday and by extension today, which is we are more comfortable holding people up in the wrong that they do than calling people out and holding them to be accountable, because it's easier to say, oh, I support someone who is quote unquote a winner. That is the easy position to take. That's the non-controversial position to take. When you put yourself even in my shoes and you say, hold on, I'm going to call the BS out today. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a McKeeva Bush. I don't care if it's a, Roy McTaggart. I don't care if it's Adam McLaughlin. I don't care if it is the premier of this country, Mr. Wayne Panton. I don't care if it's Kenneth, right? Call a spade. Then, oh boy, Sandy's a hater, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, call me what you want. It really doesn't matter to me because apparently I'm an equal opportunity hater, right? When I call out Jamaicans, they get all upset and in their feeling, boy, Sandy, they don't like Jamaicans, okay? When I call out Cayman, you should like Caymanian either, the person from West Bay, what are you talking about? They from West Bay, for Sandra? They're not West Bay, yeah? They from Georgetown. You don't like West Bay, as I can see that. Okay. You say something about a Filipino scammer. Oh, she don't like Filipinos. She don't like Filipinos either. Or Spanish. Oh, tranquilo, papi. She only talk about the Spanish people, She don't like no Cubans coming to Cayman. I don't know what this is all about. It's like, people, I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what you look like. I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you're in between, you mix up. We don't know what the hell you are. It matters not. I don't care if you're a Caymanian, if you're an expat. Tomorrow, we're going to call out a Caymanian, multi-generational. I'm sure they're going to sit here and talk about, I go back 25 generations and my last name is Bawden, so I'm somebody. I don't give a damn. I don't care who you are. If you do wrong in this community, you need to be held to account. Even if you are my friend, family members, it don't matter. So, it's easy to say, to excuse the criticisms. Oh, she's a hater. That's easy. It's much harder to look at the merits of what is being said. The takeaway is this. The committee made some grievous mistakes. By the way, on our website. Go check it out. We have a poll that's up right now on the homepage. Go and participate in the poll. Sorry, I got a little cough. All right. Child, it's like last night I bit into one pepper. Woo, the pepper almost killed me last night. So I'm just having a moment. On the website, there is a poll asking the question of what you think should happen to the Miss Cayman Committee. Should they be disbanded? So far, 91% of you have voted that they should all be removed. Go participate on the poll. It's right on the, if you do it from a computer, it's right on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're doing it from mobile, you scroll down the page a little bit and then you'll see it there. So yes, folks, you know, call us whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It ultimately comes down to accountability. And we try to hold everyone equally accountable. So Cameron says, apparently Sandra don't like anybody. Yeah, I mean, that would be the only narrative that you could understand. But Denver says, it's easy to say yes and it's hard to say no. So wrong is wrong and it doesn't matter who it is. You know, I think that, oh gosh, I'm coughing so much, my poor eyes are watering. I think that at the end of the day, it is what it is. And when you seek to hold people accountable, you can't not hold someone accountable because you like them. You can't not hold someone accountable because they're pretty and they have a nice face and they're cute and they, you know, that just isn't how it works. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So, you know, it is what it is. And I think the takeaway here is the Miss Cayman Committee, although they are doubling down about, oh, this is just about second chances. They're using what I would call cheap sound bites. It's almost like politicians, you know, when they come at you to vote for them. Oh, we're going to attack minimum wage. Okay, well, what's your plan? They don't have a real answer because there is no plan. They give you, people power, you know, and not the power in the politician, the power in the people. Okay, what does that mean when you're the ones who write in the laws and setting policy and How am I going to have power outside of voting for you every 4 years? How do I have the power to control your behavior in between? Right? These are some deeper questions. That's all we've done here. Is we're saying enough of just scratching the surface and pretending like everything is okay in this country, because it isn't. The same amount of passion that we have put into this, we put into a lot of topics on this program. That's why y'all love this talk show. You know, hate me, love me, I care not. But you're here for it because you are going to get a dose of, what's the show called? The Cold, Hard Truth. And that's how it's served. Have y'all ever heard the song, The Cold Hard Truth? Remember when we used to play it? I don't want to play it on the show because it might get us blocked. But go and have a look at, you can actually, I forget who the original country singer was for the song, but it's George Jones. Right? He sung this song and he starts out by saying, you don't know who I am, but I know all about you. I've come to talk to you tonight about the things I've seen you do. Now, this is a love song thing, but I'll tell you what, the first couple lyrics apply to us. I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I'm the cold, hard truth. right? It is what it is. I'm going to say this just one time. Time is running out on you. You best remember me, my friend. I'm the cold hard truth. Mm-mm-mm. The truth doesn't favor anybody. It doesn't favor you because you're a Caymanian. It doesn't favor you because you're an expat. It doesn't favor you because you're black, white, in between, whatever. The truth doesn't need a crutch to stand on. What did somebody say earlier? It might be an offense, but it's not a sin. It just is what it is. So you can decide at the end of the day, folks, what side of right you're going to be on. And on this issue, I'm on the side of we can't have a double standard. We can't say to our children and our young people that we do not promote violence and we get all up in arms when they're fighting in schools. But then we see judges put a young lady in a position that they think kids are going to be looking up to her. And she's the biggest kung fu fighter this side of the Mississippi. We can't do that. We cannot allow men to go around beating up on women. Just this morning, I'm receiving messages from another young lady. Her family member, bruises, I mean, black and blue bruises all over her face, her arms, and they're sending me these pictures because they need an intervention. I'm just like, what the hell is this? This is what their family member is going through, right? It's horrible. It's shocking that women are having to deal with this on a daily basis. And so how do I sit down on the one hand, and say that this is wrong, this is egregious, this is unacceptable, okay? And then I can sit back and laugh because the person has a pretty face who is the aggressor. Because it's a woman, I can laugh. I can, my apologies, I can ask victims or justify why you have been victimized. Tell us what did you do to deserve it? I can't engage in that type of behavior or that type of rhetoric. Wrong is wrong. Violence is violence. There's no excuse for it. And there's definitely no excuse when a person has been given chances and they continue to do it over and over and over and over again. That's not a mistake, folks. Those are choices. And your poor choices have now put the Cayman Islands, the Miss Cayman Islands Committee, the people of this country in an absolutely egregious position where we have to be even having the discussion and defending that we don't stand universally as a people for this sort of thing. We shouldn't be here having this discussion. And we wouldn't be here having this discussion had the committee actually done their job. That's why ultimately, in my mind, the buck stops with them. And child, are they pissed off at me? Yes. They already blocked me on WhatsApp. That's all right. No, I'm not gonna die because I've been blocked. I called her and tried to have a conversation. She hung up the phone on me, saying that I'm saying things about her. All I'm asking is that the committee take some degree of responsibility for their role. Because as one of the previous callers said, to turn around and have to strip this girl, which is most likely going to happen, of her title, is one of the most egregious things that they could have done to her. Because no matter how you slice this, right? She's not going to be remembered for, oh, two sisters from the same family winning the crown. She's got to be remembered for, oh, she was the girl who had her crown stripped after a court case found her guilty. And only God knows what that will do to her already fragile mental state. And the committee is looking to blame other people. Oh, there's only one organization pushing this narrative. No, the entire community is talking about this. We are here at CMR to facilitate conversation. We talk about what's happening in the community. And so if the community is talking about it, so are we. That's how this platform works. That's why it's a talk show. We don't sit here and talk about stuff that y'all don't want to hear nothing about or that isn't happening around us, both regionally, internationally, beyond in this world. So they're hunkering down, right? Is really, really, really sad. You can't defend what is wrong. Aunt Lottie, in her pearls of wisdom, always said, right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you're wrong, and you can't make a wrong right. Now, there are things you can do when you're wrong, people. And we've all been there. We've all done that. As y'all love to quote the Bible, let he without sin throw the first stone. Yes. And your behavior afterwards, your ability to acknowledge your wrongdoings is a big part of saying that you are reformed, that you deserve a second chance. Redemption. You don't get redemption when you are still continuing to live in denial. That doesn't win you any favors with your victims. Right? This is the truth. We've all been in a position where you've had to say, you know what? Poor decision. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. Imagine the mentality of someone who decides 2 weeks, like the old people would say, the bread not even cool yet. 2 weeks after assaulting 3 different people and their property, what's on your mind? Applying and running in a pageant. It's not about fixing yourself. It's not about going to therapy and becoming a better person. It's about putting your name forward in a beauty pageant. When you got issues on the inside, like even that revelation yesterday, when I heard that, that made me pause. And I said, what? 2 weeks after you beat up this man, his son, and box down the police, kicking people in the nuts, throwing your bicycle on a car, throwing a brick through the next car, you're thinking in your head, oh, I'm confident I would like to be the next Miss Cayman Islands. That literally blew my mind when I heard that. I was like, what? That came from her own mouth? Y'all heard it earlier? I don't know why she said that, because that doesn't really help her case, but she's like, oh, 2 weeks after this incident, I decided that I was going to go into pageant. So it's not like it was months before. I'm like, but that don't make no sense. Or months after. I'm like, that's kind of worse when you think about it. That's illogical even. I don't understand that. It's weird. It makes no sense that that's where your headspace was 2 weeks after a violent outburst. And y'all think that this is all normal and hunky-dory, and oh, she's my friend, so I'm going to support her. She's my cousin, so this behavior's okay. I feel for the victims in all of this. If this young lady needs help, she's had the past, at least when she came on the radar in August of 2018, she's had 4 years to get some help and to work on herself. and nothing apparently has changed. The committee talking about they're giving her a second chance. No, honey, this is like the 10th chance now. And you have no evidence of someone who has demonstrated by their actions then or now that their behavior has changed. And so you put her in an unconscionable position. You put the country in an unconscionable position. Now she's won, and you're trying to backtrack and justify the wrong that you have done as a committee. And it cannot stand. You can't give wrong right. You can paint it up, put on the best makeup, put it in a pretty dress, and it's still wrong. It's as simple as that. And now it has all of us. Ms. Brenda says, I beg to differ. The committee put the islands and themselves in this unnecessary position. Well, that too. Because now it makes me question the committee. It makes me question their decision-making and what else they might be deciding. And it's just unbelievable. Like I cannot for the world fathom how this is supposed to work. Other former committee members are shocked at this. They're embarrassed. They're saying, no, this would never happen under their watch. The ones who are there are defending it to their friends and family. And you know what the best defense they have? This is what they're telling people. Oh, well, what about McKeeva Bush? That's it. And we're giving her a second chance and we're empowering her. You don't empower people in wrong. You don't empower people by saying to them, oh, you did something wrong. That's okay. Don't worry about it. You did it 2 weeks before you entered the pageant. Oh, okay. Let's forget about that and quickly move on. That's not how you empower our young people. Sometimes you empower people by holding them accountable. That's what you're supposed to be doing. To understand that you're 24 years old, your actions have consequences. That's the best way to prepare this young lady for life in the real world and to empower her. Because I'm telling you, in a lot of places in the world, she rolls up on people like this, even here in the Cayman Islands. If she went and boxed down the right or the wrong person, depending on how you look at it, the consequences for her would not be the same. And the quicker she learns the message that she cannot go around assaulting people unprovoked, is the better off she will be in life. Ms. Brenda also sets the record straight. She said, for those of you who are talking about two sisters, she said, that's not even correct. She said, Miss Kathy Bush and her sister, is that Elstine Bush, were the first two sisters to be crowned Miss Cayman. Imagine that. Y'all running after glory that doesn't even exist. Damn fools. Out of East End, talking about, oh, they'll be the first two Caymanian sisters. Wow. So you're running after something that's not even true. My God, our people are so damn simple. This is what gets me. I'm not in the pageant world, but Miss Brenda, thank you for that information. Trying to get an accolade that does not even exist. It's a lie. This is what I was saying yesterday. We are living a lie in this country, a foundation of fakeness and misinformation. And when people try to call y'all out on it, oh, all of a sudden they're being haters. They're this, they're that, whatever. Thank you, Miss Brenda. I didn't know that. I don't even know who Miss Kathy Bush is. Who is Miss Kathy Bush? Who is Miss Elstine Bush? But congratulations for them for being the ones to actually set the record. Not the Conley sisters. Oops. You see how you're chasing a dream that it don't even make no sense, y'all. Honestly. Miss Carol, good morning. Miss Carol says, as Minister for Tourism, Mr. Kenneth Bryan needs to step in and insist that she cannot represent these islands. The international bad press that will come from this can and should be avoided. The buck stops with him. Well, I don't know where the minister is. Look like he gets scared of CMR now because we've had to, put his foot to the fire a little bit in the past, and he not calling in now because normally he would have been speed dialing us and said, well, Sandra, this is my position. I believe in second chances too because I got a second chance, and So I want to give everybody a second chance. And you know what? I've told the minister about that before. So he's sitting back watching. I know he's watching, but he's not calling. He's not saying anything publicly yet. We have reached out to the ministry already, Miss Carol, this morning for a public comment, because if you notice in Daria's comments, she has said that they have the support of the ministry. I want the ministry to put that in writing so that we know that that's not just her saying that. We need to know. Here's something else. When I was speaking to poor Daria yesterday, she was so flustered. She said, well, the governor appointed us. And I said, what governor? The governor doesn't appoint committee members. I said, the government appointed you, not the governor. She says, no, cabinet. And I said, well, that's not the governor. That is the government, political arm. Now, Dari, since you're pissed off at me already, we might as well just go for the whole kitchen sink since we can throw it in. Get your handbags ready. Y'all ready for this revelation? I like Dari. But Dari did something during the election. I'm going to drop a bomb. I don't know who's ready to hear it this morning. But during the election, you guys know that Dari is a progressive supporter. I don't think that shouldn't be any shock to anybody. Okay. And she was on their platform politically supporting. Remember, she introduced Alden and yes, vote for the progressives, this, that, and the next thing. All right. That was bad enough. But that's not even where it stops. After the election and the progressives, yes, Anthony says the cold hard truth all day, folks. You're getting it now. After the election, and you know the horse trading that was going on, the behind the scenes, this one calling that one, oh, you better form government. Listen, we were out there, the face of the protest, and saying, listen, the people have chosen, and they did not choose Alden and another progressive-led government. And a lot of the people who were consciously running with the party as opposed to still trying to maintain their independence, the people didn't vote him back in. Example, Austin Harris. Dari was one of the people who was on the phones calling the independent members, telling them to switch to a progressive-led government. Even after the PAC government had gotten together, signed, sealed, and delivered. Remember those last couple of days? Roy McTaggart was still like, oh yeah, we can still form the government. And what his name is that? Wayne Panton. Come on, Wayne. You're former progressives. Remember how we used you and your money? Get back in the fold. She was the one on speed dial. Bring, 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 bring. Andre, come on over to the progressives. We can be a better government. We can give you this, this, this. Bring, 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 bring. Kenneth, join the progressives. Bring, 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 bring. Sabrina, get your behind over here. You need to go on. Bring, 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 bring. Kathy, she was that person. She was the one calling and a broker essentially for the progressives. Y'all not telling me, I'm telling you. So when this government got in, I'm not trying to tell them how to run their affairs, but I was very, very surprised because they know it too. When they allowed her to remain as chairman of this committee. They trying to play Mr. Nice Guy, like, oh yeah, we don't want to remove her. You know, she's been there a long time. And I guess she's doing an okay job with the girls and blah, blah, blah. So we'll just let her stay. Now she has put this country and all you politicians too in the limelight as clearly a bunch of fools. Your judgment of leaving this committee intact is being questioned. Let's not forget now that one of the committee members, now y'all know I love me some Heather Bodden, but Heather Bodden is also one of the committee members. And she's an MP for, what is it, Savannah? These are some truth bombs here this morning. I'm going to just leave it right there for all y'all to consider. Anthony says sound them effects. Belita says she getting some more coffee. Child, we got to go. I'm going to leave it right there. Y'all just think about that. Damien says kisses go by favor. I don't know who kissing who and what favor is going on. But I'm telling you, if I were this government, she would not, as much as I like her, she has shown her allegiance to the progressives. And I'm not getting into all the other stuff that's on the street about what kind of allegiance we talk about, because we're not going to go there. We're not going to lowbrow the discussion this morning. I'm just saying, okay, that me stirring my tea, honey child, because the ginger tea sediment sitting at the bottom, I got stirred up so I can keep drinking it. Yeah? I'm not saying no more about it. I'm just telling y'all, those are the facts, and that was what was going on. C.E. Bank said, I deleted myself off my high school WhatsApp group because of negative comments from Derry, the cold hard truth, it hurts. Well, all I know is it's the truth. Cameron says, somebody come help me off the floor. Well, I don't know if you dropped in the floor or not, but, you know, not very many people were brokers for the progressives post-election. They weren't on the phone lines, but I can tell you she was. And she was on their platform as well, pushing for them. And now the embarrassment is on the pie is on the face of this government. They're the ones who are going to look like a bunch of damn fools. And there are people who are demanding a response from the government, and all I can hear is crickets. Where my cricket button? Where are the crickets? Huh? Where they gone, honey child? Because that's all we can hear. Yeah, see it now? As a matter of fact, the cricket's louder than the government right now, because the government not saying jack. On that note, folks, thank you for tuning in. Miss Carmely says, Sandra, I need to go get turtle meat for your mother, and I can't move. Child, what a mess. Tomorrow, we have UCCI joining the program. They're going to talk to us about their RESEMBED program. And also, we're going to be talking about a young man. Now, if your last name is Bodden and you run a construction company and you've not been paying your workers for the past 8 weeks, allowing them to get evicted from their homes and from wherever they're renting, can't pay their mortgages, and you have a government contract, your number's up tomorrow, son. You better find some money and pay your workers. 8 weeks of no salary in this economy. And these guys out in hot sun every day working for you, and you claim that you have a government contract, but old government not paying you, you can't pay your workers, and you can't buy equipment. Your number up tomorrow, son. Yes, you're a Caymanian and you're a disgrace. You're an equal disgrace to this country. Y'all cannot do this to people. It's hard getting up every day and going to work to be tolerating slackness from individuals. Your employers don't want to pay your benefits, don't want to pay you. You know who else could be coming up next? Another salon too, not paying people pension and stuff. If you want to be in business, there are very few rules in this country that you have to follow. Number one, you need to pay people. Number two, there's a pension law. Number three, there's a health insurance law. And if you cannot follow those rules, get out of business. Stop hurting people. Seriously. Damien makes an interesting point. He says, so this is a good play, a good PPM play to make Kenneth look bad for second chances. And Brenda says, Damien, you nailed it. Oh, mess. I'm sick and tired of getting these labor complaints, man. This is ridiculous. And labor board, I don't know what they're doing over there. So, you know how many people have come to me about this one employer? We're going to talk about it tomorrow. All I know is you better go to the bank and find some money, because your business tomorrow going to be all over the mall road. Y'all tune in early. 7:30 because at 9 o'clock, the UCCI people will be coming in talking about their RESEMBED program, which is a great opportunity for Caymanians. So make sure you tune in for that. Y'all have a blessed day. Please be safe. We've already had one fatality for the week. We don't need any more. Drive safely on the roadway and be kind to one another. Yes, not that don't it doesn't take any skin off of your back to do the right thing. You know, one final word. I want to do a couple birthday greetings and we're gonna wrap up. I was at yeah, I told you guys I had to go away this weekend really quickly. So I was at the airport on Sunday. And these TSA agents, they really get on my nerves. I hate going through TSA. I got to take off my shoes and that floor looks so nasty. You know they don't be cleaning it. So I takes my little booties, the little blue ones that you see people in hospitals wear. I put those in my bag every time I travel. So I can put those on when I got to take off my shoe. And my foot not going on that germs and thing getting all kind of fungus on your foot. So anyway, I know I'm already annoyed when I have to deal with TSA, right? I just take out your laptop, put in the thing, my iPad, whatever. So when I was leaving, I picked up my stuff and I had a container with water in it. And they're like, oh, you can't take this in. And this is, man, I just bought this bottle, hard bottle, nice bottle from Walmart, you know? And these people tell me, oh, I can't take it. I have to go back through TSA to pour out this much water. I said, you know what? Throw it away. This is me in a moment of like passion. I should have really gone back out, but I was like, just screw it. Throw it away. And then after that, of course, I regretted it. I was like, oh, that was a poor decision. I just bought that from Walmart and I liked it. I was like, oh. Anyway, I said, Sandy, don't let it get to you, whatever. So in a huff and a puff, now I pick up my stuff and I go through a little scanner and I leave. When I get to gate F3, I realize I have two iPads in my hand. They look the same. And I open them up, I'm like, damn, this isn't one of these is not my iPad. I was like, oh my God, I picked up the lady's iPad probably who was behind me. And I was like, what? Oh, what am I going to do? Well, I didn't even think twice about it. I marched my behind right back to TSA to people I don't really like to deal with. And I said, Miss, the one who made me throw away my water. I said, here, I accidentally picked up somebody's iPad. And I gave it to her. Not with a smile, I will honestly have to say. Anyway, I went back to F3 about my business. When I was getting on the plane, I waited to be one of the last people because, they're like, kids first. I don't like to be waiting in line and people coughing on me and all kind of stuff because, COVID's still out there, honey child. And the most dangerous place is still in the airport and hospitals. So I was like, no, I'll wait till everybody go through. So I'm one of the last people to board the plane. I get in and I'm just as I get into the plane, I'm standing there waiting for a few people to sit. I turn around, I see this lady with this iPad in her hand and I look at her and she's the same lady who was behind me in line. I was like, oh my God, you got your iPad back. And then she's like, yeah. And I told her it was me who accidentally picked it up. She's like, wow, thank you so much. She's like, yeah, I didn't realize. And then she left. It's a miracle because she could have been going anywhere in the world, really. She could have been on an American flight. It's a miracle that she was actually coming to the Cayman Islands as well. And I saw her in the plane. I'm like, oh my gosh. And in a moment of just doing the right thing, it just confirmed why you should always try to do the right thing. Now this woman, because I was thinking to myself, as I sat down afterwards, I was like, man, I don't know if she's going to miss it right away. If she's going to go back. Maybe she doesn't miss her iPad till tomorrow. And then, maybe she's halfway around the world. How's she going to get back? Like I was thinking, how is this woman going to be reunited with her iPad? And there she was on the flight coming to Cayman. Big shout out to whoever the lady is. So happy birthday to Gianna Hill. Today's her birthday. She is 6 years old. Happy birthday to, who else got some birthdays? Hold on. We have Miss, hold on. Corrine has a birthday. Miss Corrine, your birthday is actually today as well, right? I think you share her birthday. So Miss Corrine from West Bay has a birthday today. And she is the big 5. Oh, you go, girl. And Tina Trumback also has a birthday today as well. Is it today? I think it's today. Hold on. Let me double check Tina's date. I kind of want to believe it's today. So there's a number of people who are celebrating birthdays here on August the 9th and all throughout August, because my birthday, of course, is coming up on the 18th. So I want to wish a happy birthday. Somebody else messaged me. I think they said their son is today as well. So happy birthday to all of the August babies. But in particular, if your birthday is today, what a beautiful day. So, Facebook used to give you a little birthday greetings, child. I don't know. They move so many things around now. I don't know where these things are at. But yes, happy birthday to all of you. I kind of think Tina might be today. Where's the birthday list? Ugh, they keep moving stuff around. But anyway, it's a beautiful day. I do have to work. I'm going to show you guys a little picture of Gigi. I'm going to show you some of my profile pictures here since it's her birthday. Why not? These are some baby photos. So this is her. She was such a tiny little thing. I mean, 4 pounds is really tiny. Trust me. So here she is. This was in the hospital. Like I said, she's a preemie, so they had to give her supplemental oxygen, all this kind of stuff. Born with a full head of hair, child. I mean, a full head. So there she is. And this was, I don't know how old she was here. Maybe like 5 or 6 months. Now, I know she looked like she got little chubby legs because there's a little crease there, but trust me, they were so tiny. And there she is. Now, this was her at the the agriculture show. And she was doing, she went into a little baby pageant, child. That'll probably be the one and only, because y'all now know how I'm feeling about pageants. She's not going to be mixed up in no controversy. And she got like a little medal. To me, it's like fun. No real competition. I'm not stressing out about it. But look at her little smile and her little chin. Oh my goodness, she's so cute. And then there she is. There's Dad up in our mango tree getting some mangoes. And there she is. She loves to look at her baby pictures of herself. She's like, what was I doing there? And then there she is again. At this point, she had a couple teeth in her mouth. So I think this was, she probably was close to 1 or right after 1 because she had 4 teeth, top and bottom. Yeah. And there she is again. This was, where was this? I think this might have been either with me at work or at a little party. There she is. Yeah. So those are some little going down memory lane on Facebook. That was a couple years ago. She got a little tent for her birthday. Oh, yeah. Here's some more pictures. This is the first time she kind of smiled, but they say it's not a conscious smile, but her dad was talking to her in the NICU. And she kind of smiled when she heard his voice. Look at the hair. I tell you, she was born with a full head of hair. She was so hairy. And there she is kind of giving us a side eye. Like, why y'all taking a picture of me in the NICU? She was just so tiny. Oh, first time eating turned mangoes. We had to capture that moment. Right? Love a mango. And there we are. She's like, oh, give me that mango. That feels good on my gums. 30 days old. That was at 1 month. And there she is with Kevin. She calls him Uncle Kai Kai because she could never pronounce the name Kevin. So she's like, Kai Kai. There's Marlon and Kevin. And she's got on her bunny rabbit ears. Her curls are really like, the hair was growing and boy, the curls were just crazy. Look at the curls. Oh my goodness. And there is her number 1 fan, her number 1 BFF, her number 1 friend. There's Daddy and Gigi. Living the good life. Gigi, is that you at the door? Come on in. Let's say hi to everybody. She's going to come in to see you. Come. And this is her with her rabbit ears and Daddy. We're looking at your pictures. Oh my gosh. Come on in and close the door. And this is her with Dad again. Oh, this is her having a moment when she didn't like the food. She didn't like those peas. And she wasn't happy. And she was spitting the food all over the place. And we were like, no. There are consequences for bad behavior, little Miss Gigi. Hello, Miss Gigi. And this is one of my all-time favorite pictures. I was going to work and I was walking Coco. And that's Gigi. Grab the chair so everybody can see you in a second. Here, Gigi. Yes, that's her. And we were getting ready to go earn an honest living, an honest day's keep, Jill. And then this is us with Daddy. It came out of Bay in the tunnel. And this is with my uncle Raymond, who Gigi probably doesn't really remember, but he passed away. He's no longer with us. And so she loved him. She loved spending time with him. And this is one of his little birthday dinners. And there's her and Daddy again. Watch, this is hot, honey. Watch your hand, okay? And that is Daddy and her in matching Batman outfits. There they are having a little treat, a popsicle. And there she is with Daddy again. You were having some carrots? No, you were at I think this was in Jamaica. You were at the bird farm or something.
I said parrots.
Oh, parrots. Yeah, those are little parrots. You're right. And then look at you and Dad twinning out at Cayman Bay.
I could tell it was Cayman Bay because I recognized that.
You recognize the buildings?
Yeah.
There you are at 5 months old, looking so cute. Little kitty outfit. And there she is with Daddy again. And there you are with Mommy at work, typing away. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is so cute, Gigi. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. You were at Jazzy's birthday party here. This was at the place there in Cayman Bay. The Montessori place where they had the birthday parties and stuff. And you were having such a good time on the little piano. And this is for your baby christening. Oh my gosh, look at Miss Gigi. 6 years old today. I can't believe it. And there's her favorite thing, just hanging out with Dad. Sleeping.
So tiny.
You were tiny. Come here and you're going to say hi to everybody. You were so tiny. You were a little itsy bitsy thing. And there you are hanging out with Dad.
I was like tinier than a giant.
Well, yeah, because you were just a tiny little baby. Oh, there you are with Auntie Mary. Oh my gosh. Auntie Mary went and got you a croissant, which you love, and you were eating it. And that day, Auntie Mary actually fixed up your hair for you. She's like, oh, girl, I can handle this hair. How cute. Princess Gianna Hill. Oh, there's you and Grandpa.
I miss Grandpa.
You miss Grandpa?
Yeah.
Aw, I know. He misses you too. Grandpa's no longer with us. You remember Grandpa?
Yeah.
Oh. So this is the first time Grandpa met you in person. He was like, oh, that's my grandbaby. So cute.
Look, I can see Elsa and Anna.
In the window, yeah. And there's you with Sharicia, another cousin, when she came to visit. And there's you with Uncle Nath, picking flowers, which you still love to do.
Yeah.
And fashion glasses.
Wait, what were those?
I don't know. There's you in Jamaica. Listen, this is her at Devon House. Not with one ice cream, but with two, one in each hand. Double fisting it. Ice cream for everybody. Oh my gosh. And guess who this is? Do you know who this is?
No.
This is Shelly Ann Price. She's a track star in Jamaica. She's like one of the fastest women in the world. And your daddy knows her. Daddy said that she could have been your mommy one day had he married her. She's like, no. Yes. Check it out. So that's it.
When I was,
all right.
When I was 1 month at the hospital.
You were just born. You were not even a month yet. You were 1 day, the first day. So here, come. I'll move this out of the way so you can say hi to everybody. Everybody's wishing you a happy birthday. So say thank you.
Thank you.
And tell them, what did you get for your birthday today?
A scooter.
You got a scooter?
Yeah.
So you're wearing your helmet? You've been scooting all over the house today?
Yeah.
And how old are you today, Miss Gigi?
6.
You're 6? Are you happy to be 6?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else do you want to do for your birthday today?
Go to the turtle farm.
You want to go to the trail farm? We're going to do that this weekend. And then you can have some cupcakes and cake and stuff, right? Yeah. All right. Good job. Well, happy birthday, Miss Gigi. We're so glad that you're enjoying your birthday today. Right? Yeah. All right. So Mommy has to end her show because remember, this is what Mommy does for part of her work, part of her job.
But Mom,
yes, ma'am.
When can I open my other presents?
When can you open your other presents? We'll do some a little bit later on. All right, folks. So that's it. Thank you, Lala. Be careful because you're standing up now, so don't fall down, okay? That's it, folks. Thank you guys so much. Everybody's saying happy birthday. Miss Brenda, that's so funny. Miss Susan, Miss Lala, everybody's wishing Miss Gigi a happy 6th birthday today, and happy birthday to everybody else out there who is celebrating a birthday as well. You guys have a fantastic day. Gigi's going to have a fantastic day because, yeah, it's wonderful to be 6. Why not? And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:30.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.